On Football Manager, a non-league to legend is one of the hardest things to do. Taking a club from non-league football to Premier League and even Champions League champions is almost an impossible task and can never be seen in real life. Well, guess what? In today's video, that is the exact challenge we are undertaking with fan-owned side Enfield Football Club. We are taking on that exact mission, taking them from non-league, predicted 17th in the Vanarama National League South, all the way to Champions League winners. This rebuild is an absolute banger. It is a 2.5 hour long special. So grab yourself some popcorn, chuck it on the TV, and enjoy watching me turn Enfield into the best club the world has ever seen. Here we are then with Enfield on FM26 with their current facilities. Below average training facilities, below average youth facilities. So we won't be able to develop players very well and we won't get many academy stars come through. And our stadium is the Queen Elizabeth II Stadium, which has a running track around it. And you guys will know everyone's thoughts about a running track around a football stadium. Financially, there's currently £68,000 in the bank, which isn't a lot of money when it comes to running a football club. But they are a club on a historic rise. They have had 3 promotions in the last 15 seasons and managed to get themselves now into the National League South ever since they started back in 2001. The Towners have been on an incredible journey and I'm so excited to carry that on today. And if you guys are excited for this series, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, as this will be a 3-part series. Today, going through non-league, next couple of days going through the football leagues, and then the 3rd episode will be a Premier League bonanza, taking a non-league fan-owned club to Premier League winners. It is one of the hardest rebuilds you'll ever see on FM26. Now, looking at the squad itself, there's a couple of stars in here, let's be honest. We've got number 1, Nido Adam Malachi, 12 determination, good speed, good crossing. He's a left back. I don't think he'll be playing there very often. I'm going to try and get him into an attacking wing position because this guy, way too good to be playing in left back. He is a good National League player. That shows how good he is. The other man to touch on is our captain, leader, legend, Adam Thompson. He has got 6 acceleration and 7 pace. So our centre-back, he's slow, but he is a leader with 13 leadership. And finally, we've got our star strikers, Sam Youngs up top. He's not very quick, but at 34 years of age, Sam Youngs is a bit of a club legend. He's actually been with Enfield since 2017 in the Isthmian Premier, and last couple of seasons has absolutely smashed it to get them to where they are today, with 17 goals in the National League South last year, 23 in the Isthmian Premier before that, and at 34 years of age, I'm determined to use him. For this first transfer window, I'm not going to really do anything. I want to get to know these Enfield players and see what we've got here at the club. Use the foundations that have been set from their meteoric rise in real life, and then hopefully we can do some big rejuvenation over the next couple of years. On Footium, I have got myself a mini league where you guys can join and potentially win a bundle up to $100 of a starter club and a full squad. And all you've got to do is beat me. If you think you can beat me, click on the link down below. Footium is essentially an online football management-based game where you go up against real people in real life. You have an academy just like you would on Football Manager, and can even set up tactics based on your players that you own in your team. Like I said, at the moment, you can join Footium for completely free. Join my mini league based on the link down below and see if you can beat me. And if you want to sign up and buy a full club for yourself like I've done, it costs $100. You get a full club, a full team, and you can get on your merry way and still join that mini league and attempt to beat me. I bet you can't. I won the league last season. Good luck. And that's going to come tactically as well, because to start things off, we are using the most bog standard, basic 4-3-3 you've ever seen. We have got literally central midfielders, DMs, wingers, and a deep line forward, because the old man can't run too much, with fullbacks and centre-backs. This tactic is as basic as it possibly gets. And I think the most exciting thing about this is that I'm actually playing every single game, so I'll be able to go through and change the tactic every game and really get the most out of this team. I've actually been playing the save since the start of November when FM26 officially dropped, and it's taken all the way to this to actually get us to a good point where I'm ready to record. And trust me, the journey is absolutely incredible. Like I said, it really is one of the most basic tactics you can get. And for non-league, it's pretty much get the ball down the line, counter-attack when we get it, and whip the ball into the box. Because Sam Youngs has got a decent height on him at 189 centimetres. But we've got a hidden gem. And his name is Harry Lodovica. With 10 heading, but 17 jumping reach. Harry could be the star striker by the end of this season. He's 26 years of age, come up through the academy, I don't know. But was at Braintree a few years ago, has been over to Scotland, and now is here at Enfield. And the big man with 17 jumping reach could be an issue for teams in non-league. So without further ado, let's see if we can take Enfield Town from their predicted 17th place to doing much better. To hopefully this season, mid-table solidity, and we can push on in the next couple of years to National League football. Well, like I said, we're meant to be struggling in the National League, but we might have found a bit of a broken gem. Harry Lodovicia. This guy is incredible. Having someone at this level with 17 jumping reach is just simply not fair, because he scored so many goals. In fact, by the time we had got to the midway point in the season, he had taken the starting striker role of Sam Young, after he scored 8 goals in 8 starts in the league and 6 in 4 in the FA Cup. Well, we're having a magical journey, because down in these leagues, you start in the second qualifying round, and we beat Sheppey 6-1 with a hat-trick coming from Harry up top. We then moved on to the next round and placed Bournemouth Heath and beat them 2-0, where international player Tashan Gillimore scored, as well as Harry. We played against Eastleigh the next game, and our star left wing-back Nino Adam Malachi grabbed a brace before moving on into the first round of the Cup, beating Farnborough on penalties. And you might think this is where the journey ends. We then beat Barnet 3-2 in away from home in the second round, which means we're going to the third round of the FA Cup. And you could draw against Premier League teams in that round. And based on our current form and our starting form of the season, I would fancy us against anyone, because we have been absolutely incredible. You guys might have seen videos where I've gone through how to play in non-league before and spoken about this tactic and the way we've played this season in depth, because all I've done is keep football simple, play basic 4-3-3, and get it into the big guy in the box. Defensively, we are very hard to break down. You can see here the month of October, we didn't concede a single goal and won every single game 1 or 2-0. I think I've cracked the non-league code. Because remember, we were predicted down in 17th place, and that has now moved up to 14th. And I'm not surprised, because we're currently sitting top of the table, 10 points clear, with just 1 loss. 16 wins, 6 draws, 1 loss in 23 games, only conceding 10 goals in 23 games. Now, before you click off the video and go, oh, he's using a broken tactic, I promise you, this is going to be one of the hardest rebuilds you ever see. I've just kind of found something this season, but knowing non-league football, it's all going to fall apart at some point, because players can get poached at any point. Budgets are stupidly tight, so when we move up the leagues, it's going to be impossible. And don't forget, we're fan-owned. We're not going to get a big influx of money at any point. Let me just show you quite how ridiculous this has been as a team. Is we're not dominating anything in terms of goals scored. Sam Youngs is down in 6th place. Harry is in 8th place. Defensively, yeah, we are dominating. Avon Jones is up there with goals conceded, not very many whatsoever. Whereas clean sheets, because that's the one we want to see, not coming up apparently. Brilliant. But you can see it down here. Reece Foster, 16 clean sheets in 23 games. You might think, oh, is he a broken goalkeeper? Not at all. He's got 9 aerial reach. We are just so good defensively, and that comes down to the tactic out of possession being a flat 4-1-4-1, and in the team instructions out of possession, just a standard mid-block, a slightly higher defensive line, making it compact, making us impossible to break down. And our league position has been strengthened hugely based on the signings that I've made so far. They've not played loads of games yet, but over the next few months, some of these players are going to be superstars, like Dan Casey, who's joined us in central midfield. 192 centimetres tall, a good determination. Joey Holden, who joins in as a young central midfielder. Callum Loads, who joins in as a young backup goalkeeper. Corey Sears, who could open up that left-back spot to allow Malachi to move further forward. And then most importantly, Jaden Raymond. This guy looks absolutely insane. Is a 4-star current ability player with a 7 average rating so far. He has just played 1 game, but he's absolutely smashed it. And the FA Trophy got a goal off the bench as well. If you guys are wondering how I'm doing scouting and transfers, we have got it so attributes are not masked, so they're all random, and certain players, you can't see their abilities whatsoever. I know some players down at this level play with that enabled so they can see all their stats. I think that makes it a little bit too easy, especially at this level. I mean, as we go to the next season, we go to the National League Premier, hopefully, if we bottle from here, I'll be absolutely shocked. If we go to that level, we're going to have to scout and trial players, rather than just being able to put in, like, he's got 15 determination and a good personality. We're going to have to look really hard to try and find star players to improve this side, which, again, add so many more layers to how difficult this challenge is going to be. We are doing it fully legit. But the thing I'm most excited about for sure is our third round game against Birmingham. I mean, that is just incredible. We are home to Birmingham in the third round of the FA Cup. Can we cause one of the biggest upsets in FA Cup history? Well, our international star, Tashan Gilmore, wanted to show the world what Enfield were about as he scored a brace in this game. But Championship Birmingham were too much for Enfield. But I've got to say, at one point, this game was 3-2. And you can see on the right-hand side, Birmingham played a pretty strong side. And we gave it our all. We may have got dominated in possession, but against Birmingham, this is a club which, like I've said, are in the Championship and are absolutely smashing it in real life, spending so much money. Little fan-owned Enfield have just taken them in the third round of the FA Cup. We'll certainly take that. And I was very worried as the next game we lost 1-0 to Halifax, giving us our only second loss in the season. And I thought the season was about to crumble. But that just wasn't the case whatsoever. We shook our heads, we got back down to work, and went on another insane, unbeaten run. And Enfield Town had one of the most historic seasons in National League South history as a fan-owned club. Because we finished on 110 points. Conceding just 24 goals, only scoring 67, but being better than everyone else around us. Winning games 1-0, being hard to break down, and had a mental first year here at Enfield Town. And through the second half of the season, a lot of that came down to Harry Ladavica, who ended up on 24 goals in 40 games. But you can see we're already now in the middle of season number 2, and things aren't quite going as well. Harry's only scored 7 goals, and the struggle of National League football is real, as we are on 17th place, 6 wins, 9 draws, 11 losses, and our Billy Basic 4-3-3 football is maybe proving to not be good enough in the National League. In terms of the season preview, there was no real surprise that we were down in 23rd place in this season, because there's so many big teams in here. York, Rochdale, Forest Green have been up in the Championship League 1 over the last 10, 15 years. Yeovil, a huge club. Oldham, relegated, a huge club. Harrogate, Altrincham. We're up against some pretty big teams here as Enfield Town. And you can see that based on our salary per annum down at 438,000 in 22nd place. So we're not the lowest in the league. Tamworth and Totton are just below us. But when you see us on 438, there's 2.5 million at York, 5x our wage budget, who are, of course, doing very well this season along with Rochdale. They are the top 2 teams in the league, while we are struggling to keep afloat. And I think one of the big reasons for that is the pure amount of players we had to bring in this season. It was a mental transfer window. And the reason for that is because a lot of players were asking for stupid money after promotion. So we had to tear up our old squads and rebuild for the National League, which is what we've done and why you see this current team right now. Now, I've got to apologise. The save file for end of season 1 and start of season 2 was corrupted. Hence, we're picking up now in the middle of season number 2. Very frustrating. Sorry if there's not as much information as you guys would have liked. I can't really do much about it. The save files are corrupted, which is very frustratingly a bug which happens a lot with all these changes to different like updates on FM26. But this is our current side, and from here I can assure you there is no more save file corruptions, which is fantastic. But there has been a lot of change. In goal, we have got George Barrett, who looks fantastic, 16 jumping reach and could take us into League 2. At left back, we have LaFleur, who comes in now. Malachi was asking for £2,500 a week. So no, he didn't stay at all. Reece Johnson on 360 quid a week is fantastic at 31 years of age. Javier Benjamin has been here from the start. He stays in the squad, as does Mr. Hawkins at centre-back. Been here from the start, 23 years of age. You can see, just based on his salary alone, 650, right? At 23 years of age, because he got promoted with us. Compared to someone like Hall Johnson, same ability, but at right back, 360 quid. That was one of our biggest issues, but I couldn't rip up the whole squad. In DM, we have got Kaji on 400 quid a week, 23 years of age. Next to him up top, we've got Alfie Tuck in central midfield with 19 determination, which we absolutely love to see. Next to Turner, who looks like a fantastic ball player with 16 passing, 14 teamwork, 14 work rate, 7 vision, but he's got the ability to pass if he sees it. On the left-hand side, Jaden Redmond was one of our best players last season in the second half, so he stays in. And at right wing, we have got Kyle Finn as well, with great determination and speed. And up front, at the moment, is Harry Lalavica. But I think this could be a step too far for Super Harry. So I have brought in a potential replacement. The man from Manchester United, all them years ago, James Wilson, one of the most injury-prone players, but someone that's so sad how injury-prone they are, because this guy's ability was off the charts years ago. And we can see he's really struggled to get a full run of games in, other than this most recent period, 23-24, with a few years at Port Vale. Or even then, he wasn't really a bagsman. But considering this guy played 13 games for Manchester United at 2014, who, if you can't tell, are my club, I brought him in. It's all about having fun in non-league, especially when it looks like we're not going to get promotion. And he's on a non-contract as well. So if he plays, he gets 430 quid. And to be honest, he's not playing loads of games. That's maybe because he's been injured a lot this season. Our other striking option is 19-year-old Luke Enright, who has 5-star potential, which is amazing with 13 finishing, 15 determination and good speed. But our facilities are just so bad that we are really not improving any players whatsoever. And I think this comes to show a bit like when you loan players from a big side into the National League and League 2, and your players don't grow. It's because they're training down at the local park. I mean, we have literally got no training facilities whatsoever. Absolutely fantastic. You'll notice we have changed stadium to the Bet-Right Stadium, which, if you don't know, is the Leighton Orient Stadium. So we do now hold 9,000 people, even though our average attendance is only 998, 10%. So, yeah, we kind of just have a big stadium and it's empty and feels soulless, which is not really ideal. So let's hope throughout this second season we can survive the drop, as we are only 4 points away from it, and make sure we get safe for the next year. Well, I'll say it, James Wilson was rubbish. 25 games, didn't score a single goal in the league. Great signing. But lucky enough for us, Big Harry with his big head was enough to steer us clear in the league this season, because he just loved to score a back post header. We finished the year in 16th place, showing just how difficult it is going from the National League South or North into the National League, because you're mixed with some professional sides when we were quite clearly semi-pro, which of course is the reason as well our players just aren't developing very well. We train in the local park and we train twice a week, compared to Rochdale, York, Yeovil, who are fully professional big boy clubs that we have to compete against. And honestly, it's not showing much signs of getting better, as financially we are now negative £20,000 in overall balance. And I think I'm starting to realise just how difficult this challenge could be. The initial start with the beautiful National League South being a non-league side sounded fun and everything. Now, as a fan-owned club, I'm starting to regret things, because we still train at the local park. We even have a youth system at the stadium. Our youth level is nothing. We're just not really going to get anyone come through of any note. Now, I'll say our under-18s, we have got a couple of decent players, like Warren Quick, who, with his name, is quite quick, but he just can't develop because we train twice a week. So it's so pointless. Gary Jennings with 15 determination. He's been here 2 years. Same for Robert Idris. They are just not really getting better at all. Canardo Scott. I would love Canardo Scott to be our starting left wing back. Youth only, starting with that name. He's absolutely useless and can't get better. He's got 6 crossing at left back. I mean, that's just not okay. In the first team, it has been already pulled apart quite a lot. I've made some brutal decisions when it comes down to contracts. I mean, this is the current look at the tactic we used for the second half of that season, which could be a game changer for next year, as we looked like a much better side. And the players we've got left. We've got a goalkeeper, a centre-back, 2 DMs, a left wing-back and 2 wingers. We need a centre-back, a right wing-back, a cam and a striker. And looking into our bench, we have no backup DMs and pretty much no backup attackers either. So a lot has got to change. Now, last season, we did make a huge signing. Billy Gee played 39 games for us on 6.93. He is really good for this level. 16 determination, great defensive attributes, and good speed. And in terms of his consistency at stuff, he's not inconsistent really. It says he needs to work on being a bit more. But he's just so good, and it's a leading player for this league, which for a team that's finishing down in 17th It's going to be hard to keep hold of him, but lucky for us, we've got him on another year deal on £900 a week. Now, the thing is, when you consider this is the size of our current squad, we've got £1,500 to work with in terms of wage budget. Yeah, this ain't going to get better quickly. We're going to have to delve back into the free agent market, try and find some released Premier League players, and see if we can make this work. I just want to give a massive shout out to Work the Space in this part of the video as well, because without his last club trick that he's been doing on his save, I would not top starting some of the players we sign in this window. Basically, you can set in a column, insert column, transfer last club, where you can see where players used to play. And if they played at Premier League clubs like West Ham, best believe they're going to be good for this level. Get them in on trial and see what they're like. And it was a game changer for our transfer window this year. We managed to stretch that £1,500 far and wide and bring in a bunch of absolute stars this season and completely change this squad. We once again had a fully fledged team, and I was excited going into this season. We had a brand new striker in Johnny Stuttle, who looks like a remarkable rise on Harry Davicia and has the ability of someone which could genuinely score 20-25 goals this season, 13 finishing, good speed, good composure, and good determination. He ticks every single box while still having decent height. We keep Jaden Raymond and Carl Finn on the wings, while in the cam spot, bring in Finn Ashworth, who looks like an unbelievable signing. This guy has been released from Wolves and has never really played a professional game. But with these stats, I think he could be an absolute menace in the cam role. And so far in non-competitive games, a 10 average rating, 4 goals and 3 assists. Finn Ashworth could be our superstar. In DM, of course, we keep Tuck and Turner. At left back, we have Lafleur. At centre back, we have Billy Gee. And next to him is my bargain signing, £170 a week for Takadzwaza Gwanzura. Released from Norwich with 11 heading, 11 marking, 11 tackling, great determination and speed. Takadzwaza could be a star, potentially League One in terms of ability. And you can see that based on his stats, because compared to Billy Gee, the two of them are just so good for this level. And at right back, we have Ollie Shield on £140 a week. And Ollie is a very happy man. He's cheering like a legend and is excited for this season. 11 crossing, great physicals, 15 determination. This guy, again, has potential to be a League One level player. I hope he can come with us all that way. In goal, we still have George Barrett as well, because he's very meta in terms of some of his stats. And we, of course, have a fully stacked out bench of stars. We have done a fantastic job of making our pretty piddly wage budget go a long way. You can see we are spending £9,700 a week and still have room left in the wage budget. The reason I've done that is because I'm very scared of this club going under. We have £140,000 negative in current balance, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this club doesn't fold. We really need promotion this year, which I know sounds outrageous finishing 17th, but when you've got £30,000 of expenditure every month, you're getting 900 people through the door, and your income is 1,000, it's only really going one way unless you get to the Football League. And by the way, we're not predicted to get there. We are down in 14th place, with a squad average age of just 22. Can we upset the odds and, you know, do something unthinkable like season number 1? I think this game shows that we have absolutely cooked. Away from Cheltenham, a 5-0 victory and goals coming from 3 different superstars. Most notably, our star number 9 in Johnny Stuttle, who actually has the ability to bring a ball down, run for one goal and finish. Rather than just head, Johnny was the full package. At the midway point in the season, he's got 13 goals and 3 assists in 26 games. And Finn Ashworth, who we all knew could be a superstar, has 11 goals and 5 assists from our cam position. And honestly, we started this season better than I ever could have expected, beating Scunthorpe, beating Fylde, Altrincham and Yeovil. But there was also some big losses like Wealdstone, Barrow and the Leicester Under-21s in the National League Cup, which by the way is the most pointless competition I've ever seen in my life, and I pretty much rotate every single game. And we were looking like we could potentially be on for promotion with that 5-0 victory against Cheltenham. But we then drew to Hartlepool, lost to Boston, lost to York, drew to Totton, lost to Scunthorpe, and then the last 5 games, lost to Yeovil, drew to Altrincham, lost to Totton, lost to Barrow, and drew to Morecambe. And we were flying high at the top of the league before our last 5 games. And we now sit down in 4th place, and it looks like if we are going to get promoted, we're going to have to go to the dreaded playoffs. believe it or not, we were going toe-to-toe with Scunthorpe this season. For these last 5 games, we have absolutely fallen off a cliff. Which, when you're playing every single game, is quite worrying because I sit there and I'm so useless. I can't do anything. I don't know what to change. And I feel like it might come in a tactical tweak from the 4-2-3-1. We are currently having 2 separate systems, one where we're expected to be the lower down side, where I drop the wing backs down to play traditional right back, left back, rather than wing back. But maybe we need to change into something else at some point. I will say I have turned to the transfer market to try and fix our recent slump by bringing a new centre back in Joe Anderson, who looks absolutely brilliant, and Paul Glatzel has joined the club as well. Now, Paul Glatzel, very similar to James Wilson, is a bit of like a FM lower league hero. He normally is an absolute bagsman, but is also someone that struggles with injury a lot. And we're paying him £850 a week. And so far, he's played 2 games for us and got a 6.6 average rating. So, Paul, if you could improve that, that would be brilliant. And it turns out that signing could be a stroke of masterclass because Paul Glatzel is on a 7.2 an average rating and has 11 goal contributions in just 17 games. Now, the form wasn't fantastic. There's got to be said, I'm quite disappointed. So I thought this year could be the year we turn things around. And remember, financially, it's so important that this year we do get promoted. So after our pretty dismal start in February, we managed to turn things around slightly in March. But as we got to April, we really started to put some form together. And we managed to finish in the playoffs. So we'll be facing up against Barrow. Now, the interesting thing now about the National League is they are just 1-game ties. No longer a double-legged affair. And the teams between 4th and 7th have to play a round earlier. Now, luckily, we finished in 4th. And Barrow were down in 7th. Well, to be honest, we showed just a stupid amount of class. We absolutely battered them in this game. Now, they did score 2 goals, but we managed to score 6. And goals from Ashworth, Stuttle, Raymond, Shields, Stuttle, and Ashworth were enough to see us go on to the next round. And after winning 6-2, we could only be positive. Surely we're going to the final. We were facing up against Yeovil, a historic Football League side. And a Bodo from the right wing scored to make it 1-0. But Yeovil were a team that had just finished 2nd in the National League. Had a lot of quality, including Lambert at right back, who scored to make it 1-0. And Yeovil, well, they broke our hearts as Sims found Curzons to make it 2-1. And that was the final goal in the game. And we go crashing out of the National League playoffs, which is the worst thing possible for us because we just had the taste of Football League. We spent so much extra money to get to that stage and it's all for nothing. And this genuinely could be the end of Enfield Town. Because financially, well, while we are now in a positive balance once again after receiving a big booster funds of £107,000 in income for finishing in 4th place, that's all going to be spent pretty quickly, as financially we are spending £12,500 a week currently, which is a lot of money. And in terms of our squad, the one thing to be positive about is that players are pretty much all here for another season. We've done a little bit of contract bits up until now, so we have got a good squad. There's not going to be a massive turnover in players. This list of players you see right now are hopefully going to stay around for us, unless some of them leave on transfers or on loans because we find better players. That really is about as good as it gets. We haven't got any extra wage to spend. We have massively overperformed what we were meant to do in the National League, finishing in 4th, just 2 points away from Yeovil in 3rd. And in terms of our season preview, we were still down in 15th place. We're going to have to get very lucky to do that once again. And I'm not sure it's going to be possible. Tactically, we didn't change too much. We stayed in the 4-2-3-1 and actually managed to get a lot going thanks to the new signing in Paul Glatzel on the right wing. But we did need to add some quality to this side despite having no wage budget to spend. So our only option was to full send it. We are now negative in terms of wage budget, and we have put the club into £75,000 worth of debt. So this season really does have to be the year we get promoted. In terms of signings, it's quite nice where there's not a huge, ridiculous outlay of players. We have signed just 5 new stars. And Liam Grimshaw joins as a backup defensive midfielder. We have another striker in Rory Wilson. We'll touch on that in a minute's time. Isaac Whitehall joins the club as a new backup DM/centre-back. Yusuf Akramash joins as a backup winger. And Ted Kurd looks to be a game changer. This could be a goalkeeper all the way to the Championship and he's currently only on 490 quid a week. Now, Johnny Stuttle has left the club on loan this season. Last year, he grabbed 20 goals in 43 games with a 6.78 average rating. I thought we could do better. And my oh my, do I feel like we've done that. Rory Wilson is a joke of a signing. 14 pace, 13 acceleration, 15 finishing, worth 450k potentially on just 600 quid a week on a 3-year deal. He has currently got 3 goals in 4 games in the National League already and looks absolutely fantastic. Now, he's a youngster who's played a couple of games for Villa in this save in the Premier League. That shows you straight away how good this guy could be. Villa signed him from Rangers back in 2023. And I think we've got a bit of a monster in the team. In terms of potential, could be a leading Sky Bet League One player and is already a leading National League player. Rory Wilson, help us get to the football leagues. Thanks to his signing in a few hours, we have moved up into 12th place in the season prediction and are just 10-1 rather than the 33-1 we were last season. So a huge improvement in what the media think of this squad. And we've started the season okay as well. We drew to Shrewsbury, we drew to Curzon Ashton, but beat Fylde 3-1 away from home for brace coming from Rory Wilson, and just beat Barrow 1-0 thanks to a goal from Alfie Tuck. Now, last season, of course, we beat them 6-2 in the National League playoffs. This year only 1-0, but I do feel like we've improved hugely as a squad. Now, as we sit here in February, we still have not been able to bring in anyone else to join the squad due to being negative in wage budget. But I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be necessary because we are doing pretty well this season once again. We have beat teams like Altrincham, Yeovil 3-2 with a payback. Let's just hope we don't see him in the playoffs again. Kidderminster 3-0, Totton 2-0, Maidstone 4-1, Hartlepool 3-0, and have even got back into the second round of the FA Cup after beating Boreham Woods in the first. Now, sadly, that came with us facing up against Huddersfield, who are, of course, a few leagues above us, and beat us 3-0 away from home. But that certainly helps in terms of finances. If we don't get promoted this season, at least there's a little bit of extra cash. But the big thing for us this season is that we have found our star striker. Johnny Stuttle was good. Harold Adevicha was good. But Rory Wilson is a star. He has scored 16 goals in 26 starts and is actually improving as a player, which says something because we're still just a semi-professional club which train just twice a week. And yes, we still train at the local park. After 30 games, we currently sit in 3rd place, 6 points off Dorking at the top, who we've just played in our most recent game and lost 2-0 to. Dorking are on a mission. They are a club that have a lot of money and a lot of social media presence in real life. They're doing quite well in this save and look to be trying to get up to the to League 2 now. But for us, we are on a very good journey. We are sitting 3rd behind South Shields and Dorking, ahead of the likes of Shrewsbury, Altrincham, Yeovil and Torquay, but only a 5-point gap to falling out of the playoffs, and of course only a 6-point gap to 1st place. Now, the reason the National League is so hard to get out of is because there is only one guaranteed promotion spot, and that is winning the league. The rest of it comes down to the playoffs. And after our final 4 games of the season, with victories over Oldham, Altrincham, Morecambe, and title challengers South Shields, we sit level on points with Dorking on 45 games played. With 1 game left to play, Dorking have been on some pretty poor form, drawing to Totton, losing to Kidderminster, losing to Yeovil. But we could be about to win the National League as we go into the final game of the season against Forest Green away from home, while Dorking are facing Wealdstone, and we need to hope the Wealdstone Raider is there in the flesh to hopefully put them boys off. I mean, I can't quite believe it, but he actually did. It was 0-0. Dorking had been held at home to Wealdstone and have potentially bottled their National League title. All we needed to do was win against Forest Green. So of course we drew 0-0 as well. And we're going into the playoffs. Despite being the better side this season, we absolutely bottled it. We needed 1 goal in this game. And you can see from the XG charts, we had a 2.01 XG. Just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and we're going to the dreaded playoffs once again. Not lucky for us this season, we skipped straight on into the semi-finals as we finished in 2nd place, of course, and we faced up against Torquay. Jaden Raymond, who's been here from season 1, scores from the spot to make it 1-0. And it was that man who once again scored to grab a 2nd in this game. A delicious ball whipped in from Ollie Shield, and Raymond headed home to make it 2-0 in 29 minutes. But Torquay weren't going down fighting. A long ball over the top, Bursey in behind, scored to make it 2-1. But that was all they could muster up. And we are going to Wembley, one of the biggest games in football. The game from the National League to League Two, where clubs become professional, where clubs become respected, and where clubs who are fan-owned don't often get. And we are, of course, facing up against Boston, who have just finished third in the National League and are one of the better sides in this league. So after 4 seasons, we had finally made it to Wembley. Not an FA Cup final, but a National League playoff final. Could we finally get Enfield to the Football League? A journey which started in 2001 could come to fruition right now and make this small club from London a professional club and one of the most respected clubs in the Football League. We needed to rely on some of our superstars for this game, and Boston, well, they're a pretty good side, but they have got nothing on Rory Wilson, our superstar number 9. And what's even better than having Rory Wilson is having Finn Ashworth. This guy has been a bagsman throughout the course of this rebuild. He grabbed the second goal in the 20th minute, and that was the last of the match, and Enfield Town had won at Wembley, dominating the game against Boston, deserved to be promoted, and that is exactly what we have done. And all of that comes with so much more. We are now going professional as a club. The club have now offered me a brand new contract, which, by the way, is on £0 a week, so I'm doing this for completely free. And of course, we are now promoted to Sky Bet League 2, which is where the next part of the journey kicks on, as we look to climb up the football leagues and gain promotion to the Premier League, before finishing off a 3-part series throughout this holiday period where we become Premier League champions. If you enjoyed episode 1, smash a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, hype it as well, and make sure you come back in just a couple of days' time as we look to carry on this incredible Enfield journey. Because even as a National League side, we were considered pretty broke on just £528,000 salary per annum. Some of the best over 4.5 times higher. So I'm sure League 2 is about to be impossible. And that's what we left off last time out, with promotion going up to League 2, winning in the playoffs at Wembley, and securing our brand new contract on £0 a week. Like I said, we're doing this for the love of the game, and we now need to try and take this side, which is a non-league south side punching above its weight anyway, to being able to compete in League 2, League 1, and eventually the Championship. So in today's video, we're going to have some insane scouting where hopefully we're going to sign some absolute superstars, and of course, hope that players like Jaden Raymond, Finn Ashworth, and Rory Wilson are going to be good enough for League 2. Because the thing is, with the National League, a lot of these sides are actually huge sides which are professional already. Teams like Dorking, Boston, Torquay, Yeovil, Shrewsbury are huge sides, and the step up to League 2 isn't normally that difficult. I mean, some of the sides have been relegated: Stevenage, Barnet, we've got Southend, Port Vale, Bradford, Woking, sides which I think we can beat. We're just going to have to do bits of this squad to get it to compete with the bigger sides like Rochdale, Walsall, and Colchester United. And of course, the big thing that's also about to change is our players' salary demands. I mean, pretty much everyone currently is either on a non-contract or on a 1-year deal on around about 400 quid a week. For example, right now, if I go to Paul Glatzel, who's on 850 quid, and attempt to give him a brand new deal, he's going to ask for about double the wages to stay at the club going up to League 2. As you can see, Paul Glatzel, as a 2.5-star current ability player, well, he's not even that good. So we were forced into the market and to bring in new players into this team to take us to the next level. And I think we've done that with potential future captain Ezra Myers, an unbelievable centre-back who could also play at wing-back. We've also signed Stuart Richmond, who could be a great young player for the future. Nathan Snowball. Honestly, because of his name, I think I played this in and around Christmas Day, and I was having a good time. Cade Gordon joins the club, a failed wonder kid who has now dropped down to League 2 with elite speed, determination, flair, and dribbling. Mohamedou Kante, a wonder kid from West Ham who is a decent League 2 player but could become a lot better. Leke Drake, who could be a star centre-back for years to come as well. Potentially a League 1 level player at just 21 with 12 in a bunch of key stats, and Joshua Ajala, who could be the next striker on the wheelhouse of strikers we've had at the club to be a superstar. 17 determination, electric speed, and 11 finishing. But that's not all, because our best signing, I think, is yet to come. We have Elias Mansour, who can play in right back and in DM, Ethan Mitchell, who can play as a centre back or a DM, and possibly the most exciting one is Alex Al-Sala, a 16 pace, 11 dribbling, 13 first touch left winger with Sky Bet League One potential, joining us from Manchester City, and is the first player with a little bit of American spice, coming in from Mexico, and he brings that with his elite flair as well. Of course, that means the team looks wildly different this season, with Turner, Conte and Ashworth making a 4-3-3 system rather than the 4-2-3-1, trying to be a little bit more compact in the midfield, and then having our big three in Akramic, Rory Wilson and Al-Sala on the attack. And with Ted Curd in goal, hopefully doing bits, and a back four of Shield, Gee, Drake and Myers, I feel like we're actually very well set up on this next part of the journey. Well, we are now finally training 5 days a week, which is an absolute blessing for player development. But of course, about to spend a stupid amount more money, as we are already 110% over our wage budget, and I can sense this overall balance plummeting into the red. Now, with them signings, we do see ourselves as the 20th best placed club in the league, level with around 18th and Carlisle, who we know are a decent little side. In terms of players we're going to be up against this year, Salford, Chesterfield and Mansfield all relegated, and Dorking, who won the league last year, are actually heavy favourites to get promoted again. And again, the big reason that we are such heavy non-favourites is our salary. We're spending now £900,000 a week, but some of the clubs in and around us, like Dorking, who got promoted last year, are the third best team. Salford are 5 times spending more than us, up at 4.91 million. And I just don't know how we're ever going to compete with teams like this. Because, of course, we are a fan-owned club. Our board is built up of chair people which simply love the club. The only money we really get is money pumped in from fans as a fan-owned club. So financially, I don't know how we're ever going to climb up from this current stage all the way to Premier League level one day. But that's enough, because we need to get kicking off into this season. And I've already played the first game of the campaign, and it was a 3-1 loss to Scunthorpe. Very, very helpful. But hopefully we can have a better season this year, and hopefully see if for the first time we can get back-to-back promotions. Technically, League 2 is the easiest to get promoted from. There is 3 automatic promotion spots and a 4 playoff place spot as well. So surely we can get into one of them. And things actually went really, really well. We actually managed to score a bunch of goals, including a 4-0 victory over our rivals Dorking Wanderers. A game where we absolutely battered them, and an Ajala hat-trick helped us on the way to this win. Speaking of Ajala, I can't quite believe we've once again had a brand new striker break in and replace the other one. Ajala, 24 goals in 21 games on a 7.59 average rating. His speed is proving an absolute issue in this league, as well as his 16 jumping reach. He was a striker released from West Ham United, and so far has proved to be an absolute bargain. As you can probably imagine, Rory Wilson isn't the most happy about it. He's played just 11 games and only scored 3 goals. So I think Ajala was a good signing. Because thanks to his goals, we currently sit in second place in League 2. With just 9 losses this season, 19 wins and 5 draws, we are currently 7 points clear of 4th place and the playoffs, and only 4 points away from the title and AFC Wimbledon. Another fan-owned club, by the way. So we actually bring you back in January because in our quest to go and get promoted, I have turned to the loan market. Number 1, signing a brand new wing-back. Number 2, another brand new wing-back. Number 3, Andre Dike, a Nigerian winger brought in from Ipswich. And finally, Franny Malins, a striker brought in on loan from Arsenal. And I'm paying all of them nothing. I waited till deadline day and brought them in on a £0 a week contract. And that's quite important, as you know, because, of course, we've got absolutely no wage budget to spend. We are still spending over 109%, and we have lost over £100,000 this year so far. So promotion is absolutely pivotal, and I'm hoping them 4 loanees can prove the difference maker to get us promoted. And that's exactly what we done, and we also done what you should never do: fall in love with a loanee, especially DK. He scored the first in an 8-0 victory in the penultimate game of the season against Notts County, a team which had just finished 14th place in the league, proving that clearly we were ready for the step up. And thankfully, that's exactly what we'll be doing, as we've just finished 2nd place this season on 87 points, just 6 points away from Wimbledon and 7 points clear of Exeter and Salford. But it's Dorking who will be coming up with us. They are joining us on this historic journey, and we'll both be going up to League One. Of course, the difference being that we were massively underdogs this season, down at 25-1, compared to Dorking, who are actually 13-2. But we have done it, and we've done that thanks to Joshua Ajala, who finishes the top goal scorer on 28 goals in 29 games. A simply ridiculous season from the striker. Goals elsewhere weren't very plentiful. We got 9 from Finn Ashworth and 8 from Mamadou Kante. Our 2 midfielders were absolutely fantastic. In terms of assists, Cade Gordon was decent this year, but probably not doing his 1.4k justice, and on a 1-year deal, probably going to be leaving the club. Finn Ashworth, someone I'm definitely going to be trying to keep around, and then Yusuf Akramash is here for another season on just £675 a week, and is brilliant now in back-to-back seasons for us. So thankfully, we're going to have him going up into the next step. But like I said, League 2 is definitely an easier league to get promoted out of. With the 4 promotions in just 24 teams, we now face the tough one, going up to League 1. Teams here like Peterborough, Lincoln, Sheffield Wednesday, Blackpool, Reading. Even relegated teams from the Championship include Watford, Luton and West Brom. And after just 5 seasons, that's the kind of teams in Little Enfield's league. We've only got £480,000 in the bank, and we were by far the lowest spenders in League 2. So this step up is about to be absolutely ridiculous. I think it's about time we get a little bit more clever with our scouting, and rather than going from free agents from England, start to look slightly further afield. Which is exactly what we've done with God's Power Akeng Romweye, a defensive midfielder coming in from the Nigerian leagues and El Kamini Warriors, and starting to use our ESC slots. A player like this, who's this well-rounded, who was English, would probably cost us about £5,000 a week. God's Power comes in on just 2.4k. And he started his career here pretty well, with a goal in just his first 3 appearances. And to be honest, our team looks very different already. On right wing, we now have Oriola, released from Brighton with great speed and dribbling. On the left wing, we have Nwantwu, coming in from Sheffield United with 17 pace. And a new midfielder in Lennox Emery, who looks so well-rounded, and he's on £2,000 a week. And sadly, Finn Ashworth, someone who has done so much for us over the past few seasons, is not staying at the club, as he wanted £3,500 a week. And not only is Lennox Emery better, but so is 18-year-old Papuela Mbumba, who comes into the club on 1.6k a week, 5-star potential and great current ability with 16 determination. We are still so clearly out of our depth, predicted to come 23rd. And salary-wise, competing with teams spending 18.2 million like West Brom, while we're spending 1.57. And you only have to look to 20th place to see clubs with over double our salary per annum. And looking at this current financial position where we're over our wage budget and have just £200,000 a week, I don't really know how it ever gets better. I genuinely believe it could take us 7-8 years to ever get out of League One. And after our first season, needing a 1-1 draw and a miracle on the final day of the season to just stay safe in 20th place and thank our lucky chickens that Exeter lost all 5 of their last games, it could be even more realistic that this takes us longer than I could ever imagine. because our wage budget hasn't changed at all and we still only have £39,000 to spend, and we are now over £450,000 in debt. What could make that even worse? I know, our striker, Joshua Jala, who scores a goal every other game and did do last season as well, only on about £2,000 a week, just simply does not want to talk to us. And sadly, that's the case for a lot of our star players who have been so good for us for a number of seasons. Ezra Myers, I'm really trying to keep him here. Mohamedou Kante, how I'd love to keep him. Elias Mansour, Papuel Mbamba, who's had one season here playing absolutely fantastic, already leaving the club. And the reality of it is we simply can't keep up spending this much money, this high wages on players that simply are going to leave us after just one season. So welcome to the portion where we scout Africa and bring in undervalued talent and prove just how good young African talent can be in the English leagues. Because realistically, going into the next season, I can only see 6 players staying in and around the first team. Whether that's contract issues or players on too much money, we haven't got the facilities to keep paying them that. So we need to look to young foreign talent. And I think the best player that we've brought in based on that is Ella Flaviacino, who is on 2,800 a week, but has been released from Napoli, a top tier side, and has actually played a few games in the Serie A over his career, and joins us now in League One as a left wing / central attacking midfielder. I'm hoping Elia can be a top tier player for us. Other than that, we brought in Eder Salazar, a Venezuelan centre-back, released from Caracas in Venezuela with 4.5-star potential. And then Vano Bakurdeze, who didn't get his work permit and we ran out of ESC slots, so I brought him in and loaned him out. He's on just £260 a week and actually came in from Torino after they signed him for $325k from Dinamo in Georgia. I've loaned him out to French National 2 side US Orleans, where I'm hoping he can develop because he does have 15 determination. Other players we brought in include Emil Chingawara, released from a Premier League side, who is very well-rounded and looks like an absolute star, on £150 a week. We then have Josh King, a left winger from the Czech Republic, for 1.4 a week. Alex Bossard is a regen released from Manchester United, coming in on £400 a week. Ben Woods comes in as a defensive midfielder to bring a little bit of experience at 28 years of age. Conan Traore actually could be another star and our first really coming in from African descent, from Al-Bajete. He started his career in the Ivory Coast. The 21-year-old is a great right back / left back, good crossing, good speed and good determination. One of our best signings is Diego Leon, coming in, released from Manchester United on £2,500 a week. Diego Leon could genuinely become a Premier League level player. And then we have our 2 striking options. Ethan Wheatley, released from Manchester United, a fantastic, well-rounded player. And then a player which, if you guys are absolute legends of the channel, from about 2 years ago, we have Kelvin Ebenation. Now, this guy comes in through the Reading Academy and has before helped me get promoted to the Premier League. Yes, I got promoted on FM24 with Reading, with Kelvin up top. And the target forward comes in this time with 16 jumping reach, great speed, great height and finishing ability, and potentially has the levels to take us that far once again. And he really comes in as the main starting striker, and with a few changes tactically, back to a 4-2-3-1 and dropping their wing-backs down from up here just to down as standard wing-backs. Woods and God's Power in DM, Emery, Oriola, Flaviacino and Ebenation up front, with Traore, Drake, Wilson, Leon and Hardy in goal. Of course, we do still have Ted Kurd as well, but Hardy could take that starting spot this season. Chingawara is someone I'm very, very excited for, with 16 determination, aggression, and really well-rounded. Can also play as a striker. And we do, of course, still have the pace of Nwankwo off the bench as well. In terms of how I'm signing these players, it is pretty much the exact same as what we've been doing the whole time, looking through homegrown players, or when we weren't looking for homegrown, non-homegrown players, expired between the age of 17 and 23, and looking through who they've played for previously. Someone here like Patricio, playing for Stockport, could be a really good player to bring in, considering he came through the Manchester United Academy, going through the big squads and trying to find players this way. It takes a long, long time, but it is worth it. In terms of our recruitment focuses, finding players from Africa, there is a few stars in here like Papsido Jorito, who I'm keeping tabs on as a right winger. And in progress, we of course are scouting lots of players just like Ogawuchu Ogbonna, who looks like a brilliant right back who could potentially come in if we end up spending a little bit of money. But for now, we need to get going into season number 7 and see if we can get promoted from League One. This is our second season here now. We are still predicted 23rd, and we don't have that young of a squad. But of course, financially is where we struggle, really trying to compete with teams that are on so much more money than us. We are still in over £100,000 worth of debt before the season's even started, and are spending 7% more than our wage salary actually allows us. So all things point towards another tough season. But at the midway point in the season, we hit some fine form and went unbeaten for over 8 games, including huge victories over the likes of Salford, Grimsby, Peterborough, Bolton, even picking up draws against Sheffield Wednesday and Notts County. And as of January the 1st, we find ourselves in 4th place, quite some way away from Peterborough, Rotherham and West Brom, but a potential playoff side. So to take us to that next level and to try and get playoffs this season, I am looking through Premier League loanees who once again require no wage budget whatsoever, because we literally have no money to spend. So of course, we were only able to bring in one player on loan, and that's a backup goalkeeper. But we did manage to raise some money by selling Caden Wilson to Swindon, and loading out Charlie Hardy, clearing out his £1,000 a week in wage budget, meaning we could bring in a couple of free agents. Most notably, Papsido Jorito joins us on that free agent deal, a player I've been scouting for about 6 months now, a Mozambique international with great speed, 18 determination and 11 first touch. Papsido comes in straight into the starting lineup. And then Tony Perales, an Ecuadorian youth international who comes in as a creative genius with 16 technique. Tony could be the future in that number 10 role. Released from Orense in Ecuador, I was looking through young players with just one minimum international youth appearance, brought them in on trials if their contracts had been up, and that's how we found Tony, and he looks absolutely brilliant on just £450 a week on a 3-year deal. That's how we're going to turn this team into a championship level side, managing to find bargains like that, and bargains like Flavicino, who this season has been absolutely brilliant with 11 goal contributions in just 25 games from left wing. But up top with Big Kelvin is where we really saw the improvement, and we finally had a bagsman, which I think can stay with us for a long time. He scored 19 goals, but also grabbed 9 assists as our target forward this season up top. He's with us for at least another year and is only on £1,800 a week. Kelvin Ebenechaman, he's an absolute superstar that has just helped guide us to playoff football, where we finished on 75 points, a whole 9 points away from Bolton, 10 points away from Watford and West Brom. But we are in the playoffs, and we do have a chance. I mean, our form to finish this season was brilliant. We won 5-0 against Notts County and 5-2 against Chesterfield in our final 3 games, including a 1-0 victory over Wigan. And of course, now we'll be facing up against Watford as the 3rd placed finish side, who have had a little bit of a ropey finish to the year. Of course, the side who are spending over £14 million in terms of salary compared to our £1.4 million in salary. but I believe it's possible. And luckily, we beat them 2-1 in the first playoff game, thanks to a 90th minute goal from Josh King. But we now had to go away from home against Watford at Vicarage Road. And the first goal was always going to be so important, so it was lucky for us that Diego Leon made it 1-0 in 38 minutes. And we grabbed a second in this one just 10 minutes later as Tony Perales showed his vision with an unbelievable ball through to Kelvin. And we made it 5-1 on aggregate as Diego Leon found God's power to find Emery in the middle to give us a 3-0 victory and send us on into the playoff finals. We'll be facing up against West Brom, a club who, let's face it, are a lot more known for their Premier League last few years compared to their League One time. So we're back at Wembley, and last time out was playoff victory in the National League. Could we have such good luck this time? Well, not if Miles LeBurn's got anything to do with it, and he put West Brom 1-0 up after just 18 minutes. But one thing we've proved all season is that we never give up, and we have God's power on our side. So in the 85th minute, we made it 1-1, and we sent the game to extra time, where somehow we still had legs left in the energy. Ezra Myers, who signed a brand new contract last summer, ran all the way the length of the pitch, found Josh King at the back post, and he fired home to make it 2-1. And make Enfield champions of the playoff once again and send us up into the championship with just a 1.5 million salary per annum compared to West Brom's 15 million. We had upset the odds and took little old Enfield Town, a fan-owned, fan-run club, all the way to the championship. And this season was absolutely mental, and I think it shows just how important it is finishing the season on that good form, because we overperformed playing Watford and West Brom thanks to our 11 goals we scored in the 3 final games of the season. And we now are going up to one of the most difficult leagues on the game. Not only does the Championship currently have sides like Southampton, Brentford, Burnley, it's also going to have Wolves, Fulham and Birmingham next season, as we are just one step away from the Premier League. For a little bit of context, some clubs in the Championship spend upwards of £70 million just on salary, while we spend just 1.46. So this really is going to be near on impossible to compete. But at least we've got loads of money, right? We've got £300,000. I mean, we were catastrophically in the red. We are now in the green. But £300,000 and just £64,000 to spend a week on wage is just not enough. We need more than that. We need an absolute miracle to do anything in the Championship. Now, luckily, over the last few seasons, we've been quite clever in terms of our wages and our contracts, where a lot of players don't actually need brand new contracts, other than our 2 best players at the club, Ted Kurd and Leke Drake. So first order of business is to give them new deals because, let's face it, they're wildly underpaid. So we got Ted on a brand new 3-year deal, and this is a guy that's been with us all the way from the National League Premier, now up into the Championship, and it looks like he'll be our starting keeper for this time as well. And Leke Drake also got his £2,000 a week, signing a brand new 2-year deal with us. But if we were going to survive in the Championship, we needed to be smart. So for the first time, we actually end up spending a little bit of money on some players. Number 1 is Ugawuchu Ogbonna, a right back we've been scouting for around 18 months. Finally joins us for £195,000. And then Amadou Fall joins us for £90,000 a week. A youth Senegalese international, potentially Championship standard. I would say he's already there. 15 dribbling, great speed, 16 flair, 14 determination. Amadou Fall for 90k is an absolute bargain. We then have loan signing of Matthew Hees coming in from Kilmarnock. Botalese Sometsi is a free agent South African coming in at 20 jumping reach and 197 centimetres tall on a free deal. Regan Paul joins the club on a free deal as well. And finally, Finlay Goodwin joins the club on a free deal. What you'll notice is not a lot has actually changed, and there's a reason for that. I am quite confident we're going to get relegated. So rather than completely bankrupt us, I am going to save a lot of money. I'm going to leave £17,000 a week in wage budget free to spend so that we don't completely catastrophically write off this club. We've got £800,000 in the bank, and a season of survival in the Championship would give us a platform to absolutely rise. A relegation wouldn't be the worst case because I've not gone stupid in terms of our wage spend. Instead, we're going to be using a 4-2-3-1 system, which I am hoping and praying can do just enough to either keep us safe or not embarrass me and lose my job. And to clarify, the media don't actually even think we're the worst team in the league, with Blackburn actually being worse off. So can we do the unthinkable and actually survive in the Championship while saving a whole bunch of money? Well, I'll be honest, we may have got into it a little bit light on our strikers, as Evan Aisherman only had 11 goals in 32 games and we looked doomed for relegation. So I chucked a roll at the dice and put £7,000 a week in Alexander Staff. In January, we signed this guy coming in from Eintracht Frankfurt, who I have had on FM26 as a Champions League level striker. He lost his contract at Frankfurt and joined us here and scored 8 goals in 22 starts. We also put £2,500 a week in 34-year-old Australian defensive midfielder Cammy Devlin, who scored in a 2-0 victory in the penultimate game of the season as we beat Oxford United. We then drew 0-0 on the final day of the season against Portsmouth. They even got a red card. And a win here would have meant everything. But lucky enough for us, that 1 point was enough. As us, Peterborough and Portsmouth all finish on 41 points, but our decent defensive record with just a negative 30 goal difference was enough to keep us alive by just 3 goals. And we have done an absolute miracle staying up in the Championship, saving a whole bunch of money and now having a platform to build on. Before even getting our huge financial boost for survival, we still have £800,000 in the wage budget and a season of progression to a few of our stars, including our £90,000 man Amadou Fall, who has just grabbed 15 goal contributions at just 21 years of age. Tony Perales has also just had a full season playing Championship football. Alexander Staff and Eben Aishingham scored a bunch of goals up front, and a couple of our young stars also managed to do bits in the Championship this year. I'm not quite sure how we've managed to stay safe other than using a 4-2-3-1 system, which, yes, is meta, but an absolute miracle has happened this year, as I do now believe we have got enough young stars to progress this side over the next few seasons, as well as having that financial basis to hopefully go on and sign some good players. Because the board have given us £1.8 million to spend and over £2,000 left in wage budget, and with a few players leaving the club and a few players joining, I think over the next couple of years we can mount that Premier League challenge. I do just want to jump in at this point and just ask if you guys have enjoyed this little Enfield series and you want to see more like this. Smash the like button and let me know which ones I can do up next, because it's been really fun to sit down, play the game, learn the mechanics a bit more, and really jump into a deep save. So if you guys have enjoyed, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hype it up, do all that fun stuff, and hopefully there'll be more of these coming out in the future. Now, of course, with that amount of money we have just got, I jumped back into the African market to bring in some more undervalued stars, like Shile Quickaba, who cost me just £51,000 and is absolutely brilliant. Possibly the best player we've had at the club so far. We also signed Regis Mugisha, a 16 marking, 12 tackling, 11 heading Rwandan centre-back, joining for £29,000. And then signing someone from Bayer Leverkusen, which wasn't on my bucket list, but for £100,000, Michael Rupert comes in as a star defensive midfielder. And this summer was a real difference maker in the club, where we could actually bring in a lot of top tier talent. We also raised £170,000 in terms of transfer value as Totsetsi, the free agent South African star that joined us last year, left for profit straight away, which I'll certainly take because he hasn't progressed too much. We also said goodbye to Emil Changawara, Eder Salazar, one of our first free agent youngsters from abroad, and Veno Bakaradze, as they hadn't really progressed as we'd wished. We also signed Sean Poggio, a defensive midfielder this season. The Cheese Man up front, a 200-centimetre striker with 19 jumping reach to be a rotational option. Robert Gorks coming in from Riga, a Latvian defensive midfielder. Luciano Romero, a Argentinian centre-back with 15 heading, 13 marking, 14 tackling, great determination and speed on a free agent deal on £4,500 a week. Yes, we're spending a lot more money this season. We converted a lot of that transfer budget into wage budget, and we decided to spend some cash and really improve this side. Colby Donovan joins as a rotational right back. Sam Baptista joins as a rotational left winger. Peter Vukovic joins, a Montenegrin left back with 14 pace, 13 determination and 13 crossing. Josh Feeney, a rotational centre-back. Taavi Kokumaki, a Finnish central attacking / left winger. And finally, Erkan Sheard to be a rotational backup goalkeeper. A huge season of change. And our first season moving into a 4-2-4. Yes, we're going 2 up top. Amadou Fall, after last season's 15 goal contributions, moved to a striker with Kelvin up front as our target forward. Kokun Maki goes on to the left wing with Kukeba on the right wing. Gorks and Rupert in DM. Leon, Romero, Drake and Ogbonna as the back four with Super Ted Kurd in goal. I feel like we've just completely changed the squad in just one summer and massively improved. And that's exactly what happened, not just with our league position, but our points tally, as we go from 44 all the way up to 62, an 18-point swing, and finishing the season unbeaten in the final 6. I think we've got something cooking. Because Alexander Staff this season scored 17, Kelvin Ebenation scored 13, and Amadou Fall got 19 goal contributions. Again, proving to be an absolute superstar. In terms of contracts, only one player's contract is coming up. It is one of our best players in Leke Drake, but I'm pretty confident we can improve on him. The rest are all locked in for next season and the season after, and we have just been given £4.82 million for that, and we now have over £7.5 million in the bank. So the fan-owned Enfield Town are pretty rich. I mean, the board have just given us £2.8 million to go and spend and £13,000 to spend in wage budget. So I genuinely feel like after a couple more seasons of this, we could be going to the Premier League. And don't worry, because we are still so stupidly low in terms of our wage bill compared to the rest. I mean, literally 23rd place is 3 times more than us in Wimbledon. The first is 71 million in Wolves. We are still spending less than £3 million, but massively overachieving. I mean, we simply couldn't spend 5, 6, 7 million pounds because we'd lose all of our money straight away. I don't know how clubs do it. I really don't, especially if they're fan-owned, because it's literally just a complete and utter money sink. So for season 10, we finally spent £1 million, and 700,000 of that goes to Tom Friedlin, an Austrian striker who looks like he could be the man to take us to the Premier League. We also brought in Matthias Hansen, a free agent Danish centre-back. I'm going to show you how I've been scouting and signing all these players in just a second's time. Adam Robertson, a free agent player on £5,500 a week. We also signed Frankie Rapama, who goes straight back on loan to CF Ramio, but a Burkina Faso goalkeeper with 16 jumping reach and 16 area reach and 16 handling could be the starting striker for the next few seasons. And then finally, Matthias Kielerman Oblad, a fantastic left winger who's 194 centimetres tall. In terms of our scouting, a lot of it has actually been manual scouting, looking for players with international caps at least one in any position whatsoever who are aged between 19 and 24. These are players that are looking for their next big move. If we sort this by nation, I am literally going through and scouting and offering trials if I can to anyone with a nation who, could potentially break out from. Realistically, there's not many Cambodian superstars, but looking into, say, Ivory Coast, which is often in this area, very well could be. This is a guy I've had my eye on for absolutely ages in Cesar Miete. But literally going through different nations, scouting them, checking out their stats. These windows are taking a really long time. My actual game status, I'm not sure where we can see it. Here you can see it. 12 days, 15 hours. In terms of my matches played, I've actually played 393 matches. I've literally been playing this save for about 6 weeks, really from the very start of FM26 all the way up until now. So that's how you know these saves are legit. They have taken a lot of time, they have taken a lot of heartbreak and a lot of heartache, but we have been able to build this fantastic side, really get to grips with the game. I hope you can see the sort of the tactical evolutions and the scouting evolutions we've had, even through just this episode, 5 seasons long. It's been about the last 3 weeks of gameplay of my actual time, not like simulated or anything, has built us this pretty fantastic side. I don't even think we just showed you this guy, but Tibogo Sibanda, a fantastic moustache on him, a defensive midfielder brought on for free. It's just outrageous. If you guys aren't scouting Africa, since I started this save, the videos have come out of my sort of best scouting, my scouting with Norgisland and turning them into Champions League winners using African talent. It is just an absolute goldmine for young free agents, and I think we can see that with this side. I really do think we have built something incredibly special. The media don't tend to agree. We are still down in 23rd place, but that has never stopped us before. Some of the results we had this season were just incredible, like a 4-2 against West Brom, showing the leaps and bounds would come up against them, a 5-2 against Charlton, 2-1s against Sheffield Wednesday, even 1-0 victories over Leeds United, 2-0s over the likes of Lincoln, beating Burnley away from home 1-0, and you're seeing one name a lot as we click through here. And that's Alexander Staff, a player which, like I've said, I've had a Champions League level quality before, and we saw that this season as he scored 32 goals in just 43 games. That's the kind of striker you need to get promoted. Our end of season form was absolutely electric, with victories over Rotherham, victories over Leicester, beating Norwich away from home, and in our final 5 games of the season, drawing to West Brom, beating Burnley, drawing to Stockport, beating Sheffield United at home, and finishing the season with a 1-0 victory over Birmingham. The one team we could never come close to this season was Coventry, who won the league on 87 points. But thanks to the ridiculous amount of goals from Alexander Staff, we done something unthinkable this season. We finished in 2nd place in the Championship, not even needing playoff football, and taking Enfield to the Premier League in one of the most ridiculous seasons we've ever had on Football Manager. We've done it using an in-possession 4-2-3-1 and out-of-possession 4-4-2, which will be available on the Patreon down below. And you guys know this tactic has been play-tested and used every single game throughout this season. It wasn't just Staff, which was brilliant this season. New signing Matthias Kjellman Olblad had 25 goal contributions. The big Swede was an absolute game changer. And Amadou Fall scored 11 goals but got 18 assists, dropping a 7.3 average rating. A reminder, a signing that cost us just £90,000 from Giraffe in Senegal just 3 seasons ago. Well, the money hasn't yet kicked in. The board have given us £27 million and over £250,000 a week to go and spend to take Enfield to being a competable Premier League side. The question is, Can we survive and can we lift the Premier League? That is all to come next time out. I hope you guys have enjoyed the rise from League 2 to League 1 to the Championship to now bring a Premier League side. Come back in a couple of days for the Premier League finale. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you guys next time. And here we are then where we left off last time, with Enfield Town as the second place team in the Championship and gaining promotion to the Premier League. What an incredible season that just was. And we were heavily carried by our man Alexander Staff. The risk taker we brought in a few seasons ago finally paid dividends last season. 32 goals in 45 games. An incredible year for him. But is he ready for the step up to the Premier League? I'm not so sure. His contract is currently ending. He is one of the highest paid players at the club. Yes, £7,000 really is one of the highest paid players at the club, and we have gained promotion to the Premier League. And I just don't know if he's Premier League level. I don't know if any of these players are Premier League level. I mean, for example, Ted Curd. He's been with us from the National League, and I'm 100% playing with the Premier League next season. He's quite an important position, and as you can see, he's never really excelled as our goalkeeper, but it's a story, and one that we are 100% going to be having for next season. His high determination, area reach, and jumping reach have been very important for us, but as you can see, even as a 4-star player, he is listed as just a good Championship player. And I think he's one of our only 4 stars in the team. We do have Dibongo Sibanda, the South African defensive midfielder, who is also a 4-star. Michael Rupert, the German DM we brought in a couple of seasons ago for just a couple of £100,000, is also a 4-star. And then we've got a couple of 3.5 stars, like our Swede Matthias Killerman Oblad, or our potential striker Tom Fiedelman as well. But really, this is about how we completely rebuild this side, because of course, we've gained promotion to the Premier League with this team, which is brilliant. But yeah, we're nowhere near Premier League ready whatsoever. Lucky enough for us, the board have given us £27 million and £250,000 a week in wage budget, which is very kind of them, considering we currently have £6 million in the bank. So they obviously know we're about to get a huge influx of money. But the other thing that I really want to do throughout today's video is improve the club, because we've taken Enfield to this stage in a stadium which isn't ours. We've been playing in the Leyton Orient Stadium since League 2. Training facilities which haven't been improved once, and youth facilities that also haven't been improved because, well, financially we have struggled throughout the course of this rebuild to ever be positive and actually have some money in the bank. And finally now we do have that, and regardless of how next season goes, even if it means relegation back down to the Championship, we are going to be stupid mega rich, because we have no debt on the club, we have very little expenditure on the club. So over the course of this video, I also want to massively improve Enfield Town as a club. And just a reminder as well, I have played pretty much every single game in this save file. Up until this point, 394 games played, 178 wins. And I'm hoping that by the end of this, however long this takes us to win the Premier League, we're going to be listed as an Enfield Town icon. And I can't wait to see if any of the players which got promoted with us from the Championship are still a Premier League winner with us here at Enfield. That would be insane. But let's get into it now, because we need to start off season number 11 or season number 1 in this particular video and start the rebuild with Enfield to a Premier League side. Well, there were some huge decisions to be made this season, and the number one was about Alexander Staff, and I made the decision to not carry on with him as our striker, mainly because of his work permit issues, and I wanted to have them ESC slots for signings we're making this season. And despite him scoring 32 goals last year, I mean, he's only a 2.5-star player, and you can see, based on the improvements we've made as a team over this summer, he actually drops down to pretty much a 2-star player in the centre-forward role. So, thank you for helping us get promoted, Mr. Staff, but you're off. Now, in a very similar fashion to when we got promoted to the Championship, I don't want to go crazy on transfers for the pure fear of bankrupting the club and losing all of our money. So we've gone fairly cheap. Number one is a free agent signing of Isaac Dunn to come in as a central midfielder, 17 vision on the lads, decent enough defending stats, 26 years of age as a rotation option on a free from Norwich. We have Leo Warmouth, who is our new striker that I think is going to be able to lead the line this season. Not the quickest of chaps, but 16 composure, 15 finishing. I think at just 21 years of age, he is going to be very good for us. Just £500,000. Ahmed Mohamed is a rotational left-back brought in. Anton Kovac is a centre-back brought in from Maribor. 18 determination, 15 heading, 14 marking, 13 tackling, good speed, 6'2" as well. This is an absolutely insane signing for just £1.1 million. And then our final two signings are Sigurdsson Finnbogason, an Icelandic centre-back midfielder, and Kim Sang-tae coming in from Jeonbuk with 20 determination on the guy. The way we've done all of these transfers is the same, pretty much what we've done in the Championship, looking either at expired contract players or players with at least one international cap, aged between 15 and 23, removing the fact their contract's expired, and then sort of going in by position, checking out the different nationalities, looking for high potential nationalities, and also sorting by the information column as well. I found this to be a really, really good way of signing players. So say come down to ones that are wanted and just search through, because if we find someone, very much like, either of these, to be fair, like this guy, Kim Seung-ho from Korea, he is worth 2.3 million. We can see he's wanted by Atalanta, Juventus, and Al Nassr. Worth a scout, put him on the shortlist, see what he's like. He's 1.5 million, and that's pretty much how most of our signings were made this season. And that gives us the team that looks a little bit like so. You guys will recognise the team. We are switching into a 4-4-2 out of possession to try and be a little bit more compact defensively in the Premier League. We have Ted Kurd in goal, of course, Kalsiuri at right back. It was actually a brand new signing, which for some reason isn't showing. I think there's the glitch where it's not showing a few players on the transfers thing. He was free, coming in from Hibernian in Scotland, an Italian right back, 18 determination, a huge, huge upgrade on our right back position. This guy's an absolute monster. I actually think there's quite a few of these, so we'll go through them, because we've got Matthias Hansen as well, who, apologies, was actually here last season, but a Danish big centre back. Left back, we have Mohamed, Rupert, and Sabanda in DM. Of course, our absolute hero, Amadou Fall, playing in the right wing position. Severino, I believe, is a brand new signing. He is indeed coming in from junior in Colombia. He is on £23,000 a week. A big, big financial spend, but we really needed a winger, and he was one of my last signings, I think. And I was really struggling for a pacey, good winger. So John Severino comes in. You can see his value is very, very high straight away. Kim Sang-tae in the cam role, and Leo Warmouth up top. I think everyone else has been spoken about already, so we'll just get into this first season in the Premier League, because I'm not expecting a lot. In terms of finances, we have still got £5 million in the bank, which I think just shows how smart we've been in terms of transfers. Our wage bill has gone from 100,000 to 300,000. That is with a few players on around £23,000 a week, but also just a bunch of players that wanted massive increases, but they needed to happen because they were basically on League One salaries. So someone like Diego Leon, now on £7,500 a week, but locked in for another couple of seasons as a backup left back, I'm absolutely fine with. No surprise whatsoever, we are by far the worst team in the Premier League, 2,000 to 1, and it's going to take an absolute miracle to stay safe this season. And there's not really much of a better way to start our Premier League journey than facing up against Manchester City. This feels unfair. Erling Haaland scored just 30 minutes in, with Rodrigo Moura and Cherki linking up. Before the exact same trio linked up once again, a ridiculous pass from Cherki found Moura to find Haaland for two. And Rayan Cherki turned in just to an absolute wizard, and is apparently the best player in world football, drifting down the right-hand side and finding Rodrigo Moura in the middle to make it 3-0 against Manchester City. It's not an awful result, considering we've only just got promoted, and that was our first game in the Premier League. What is awful is the complete and utter domination Manchester City gave us. But sadly for us, it just got worse. The next game was Nottingham Forest. We lost 4-1. And then we faced up against Arsenal and lost 8-0. Yeah, this could be a very rough season. Thankfully, on the 9th of September, we got our first victory. It was against Spurs of all teams. We actually played very well, more shots, more XG, and beat them 2-1. But as you can see from the schedule, that didn't exactly kickstart our season. We then lost to Fulham, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Liverpool, drew to Wolves, lost to Coventry, drew to Newcastle, and got battered by Chelsea. But on the 10th of December, there was a turning point. We stuck 3 past Sunderland. We also stuck 3 past QPR, winning both games. Managed to get a 2-2 draw against Spurs and a 2-2 draw against West Ham. So overall, a nice tidy 8 points picked up, which means we're kind of in the race for survival. What was good for us is that there was just some shocking teams this season, like Brentford, who finished on 28 points and got relegated in 20th place. Fulham had the exact same points total on 28 and finished in 19th, so we could survive on just around 35 points. And in fact, thanks to a pretty decent end to the season with a bunch of victories picked up with a few huge losses sprinkled in, we did manage to survive in the Premier League on just 32 points, with Everton and Coventry both also getting 31. And despite having the worst goal difference on -58, the 9 victories we picked up this season was enough. We conceded 104 goals, which, yeah, that's a lot of goals to concede, but we managed to survive in the Premier League in the first season, which, I mean, I'm not really taking much credit for. I mean, we could have literally finished on 32 points. We literally finished on the lowest points tally possible. That is an awful 4 teams below us, it's got to be said. I mean, normally it's the magic 40 points total. That had got us 14th place, and that had been an incredible first season. So we'll take that and we will run with it. We have survived thanks to other teams being rubbish, and that now means we have broken out and we are mega rich. £86 million in the bank. Thank you very much. We now officially have a bunch of money. I mean, the board have quite literally giving us £72 million to go and spend and £450,000 to spend in wage budget. Now, you guys know I'm not going to be crazy. I'm not going to go and spend all of that money. But my God, do we need some improvements into this team. I mean, poor little Ted Kurds actually had a decent season, a 6.81, but the rest defensively have been pretty horrendous. Kovac, a 6.67, Matthias Hansen, a 6.37, and if anyone else played, it was Josh Feeney on a 6.64. Left back Mohamed, a 6.3. Diego Leon played a lot of games on a 6.5. So really, it's defensively where we really struggled. In terms of goals, Tom Friedland scored 11 and got 2 assists, which is brilliant. But our new signing, Leo Warmouth, hasn't really impressed me. 7 goals and 2 assists for him. Matthias Gilman, 9 goals, 5 assists. Amadou Fall, 8 goals and 6 assists. I love this guy so much. I don't know why I've got such a strong connection to him, but I mean, that championship season was incredible. The £100,000 signing. I just absolutely love the fact we've brought this guy in, and he's absolutely smashed it for us, and been a really, really cool signing. But overall, it was a pretty rough season. Let's be completely honest here. Highest average rating from someone that played a bunch of games was Ted Kurd, a 6.81, and we conceded 104 goals. So there is a lot to improve about this team. And to be honest, 12 months down the line, I feel very similar, as once again we finish on 32 points, but are saved by 3 awful teams getting relegated. We didn't go crazy on transfers once again, only spending about £15 million. A new left-back brought in Samuli Hilatali, a Finnish left-back. Camillus Said, a Tunisian cam who have been chasing for a long time, finally joins the club. Ricardo Cabrera joins from Olympia, a right-winger with 20 determination. Obina Lawan joins, 13 heading, 16 marking, 13 tackling, 15 determination, great speed, just 20 years of age and 5 caps for Nigeria. I think he is going to be an absolute superstar, cost me £500,000. And Faris Saidi, a 19-year-old centre-back with great determination, good physicals, 200 centimetres tall, joined also for just 500k, as well as a new striker in Flavio de Gracia, a Swiss striker with 14 finishing, 20 determination, costing me £5.5 million, breaking our absolute bank there. He scored 13 goals for us this season. And then Roberto Escobar for £650,000, a Peruvian central defensive midfielder who was pretty good for us this season. But like I said, that made basically no difference in terms of our league position, and we still conceded a pretty ridiculous amount of goals on 77 and are clearly quite some way off becoming a mid-table side. So for this next season, I decided to switch things up a lot. Not only did I spend now £25.5 million, but I also brought in some experience. For example, we signed CJ Egan-Riley for just £600,000, a 34-year-old with 90 caps for Ireland, purely to come in and be a bit of a older head in the dressing room. He wasn't the only one. Ime Ocon joined us, a 33-year-old centre-back from Sassuolo for £675,000 to come in and bring in some experience. A couple of players which I think were really needed for the dressing room. The rest of our signings were very different. I mean, for example, a free agent in Adrian Pearce. What a free agent signing this is. Last season, I believe he was at Swansea, and he scored a bunch of goals in the Championship. He has in both seasons. You can see, we've played one game already. He scored 2 goals. He's very, very good, and he was free, which is a great signing for us. Yes, we've given him a lot of money, but he is a massive difference maker. We then brought in backup goalkeeper Demis Novelinho for £1.1 million, again 27 years of age. We then signed Paul-Andre Bjergrad, a Norwegian left winger who looks incredible, could potentially play up front as well. 15 finishing, 16 composure, good physical stats on him. Ibrahim Gabane, a 22-year-old Ivorian fullback, comes in. Lorenzo Massari, a 20-year-old German left winger, one for the future, but with great speed and determination. I think he could be an absolute demon. Radulovic comes in again for the future, loaned straight out, 17 finishing, good speed on him. We're kind of buying a few experienced players for the now and buying some youngsters for the future, rather than buying youngsters just to chuck into the first team, which was a huge change in our kind of transfer strategy this season, trying to improve results while also build for the future. Yannier Salcedo, a bargain signing with just £800,000, comes in. Lewis Miley on for £6.25 million. Again, 31 years of age now, experienced midfielder who could be here for another 3 or 4 seasons as a really good player for us. And finally, Lucien Mahovo, a 32-year-old English left back, again, improving the squad for right now. So the team looks wildly, wildly different, which is why I'm not going too in-depth into things, because this team is going to change a lot over the next few years. We do still have Ted Kurd in goal. Kovac and Lobina Lawan, I think, are going to be our centre-backs for a long, long time. Rupert and Escobar in DM, Cabrera, Prince, De Grassa and Bjergrad as the front four. We do have some heartbreaking news. That is of Amadou Fall, who is now not quite good enough to stay with us in the Premier League. Last season, played just 5 games for us, scoring 1 goal. This season, he's been dropped down to the under-18s. He is listed for transfer, and he is on the way out. But Amadou Fall, you've been an absolute hero. Now, once again, this season we are predicted down in 20th place, but have massively chopped our odds from 2,000 to 1 to 1,000 to 1, which we will take. It's much better than it previously looked. I mean, remember Leicester won it at 5,000 to 1. In terms of our age, we are now at 25, which is on the older side of what we've had throughout this rebuild because of players like Ocon, Mahovo, even Ted Kurd, Lewis Miley, now all coming in with a lot more experience into the team. I think that's something we've needed for a good few seasons. And our switch in transfer strategy clearly had a huge improvement to the side because our young stars, like Massari, no longer had all the pressure on them. They could just thrive in a team of experienced players. We had some huge victories this season, like that 1-0 against Newcastle or a 3-1 against Arsenal. We also managed to beat teams like Aston Villa 2-1, Flavio de Grassa and Ricardo Cabrera. Brighton, a 3-1 victory, a hat-trick from our new man Adrian Prince, who for a free agent signing hasn't done too bad. 14 goals in just 29 games. This is maybe the best signing I've ever made, because overall we've jumped us all the way up to 12th place in the Premier League, which is a huge difference to where we've been, down on 32 points. We've gained an extra 12, got 44 points, and are now a mid-table Premier League side with our eyes set on getting up into them lower European places, potentially over the next 2 or 3 seasons. So I feel like the big slog part of this video is done. We've managed to take us from a championship side which should no longer be in the Premier League to a side that deserves to be in the Premier League. In terms of our financial position compared to the rest of the Premier League, Yeah, you'd say probably not. We are still only spending £38.4 million, which is ridiculously low. I mean, for example, in the Championship, that was put us in and around 8th place in terms of overall spend. So we really are still punching above our weight massively. But we do have some huge news for the club. Yes, we are now mega rich, which is lovely to see. But the big news is the board have been listening to me. We are improving our training facilities, our youth level, increasing our youth level again, and we are building a brand new stadium. We are finally getting an Enfield stadium rather than playing at the 8,000 capacity of the BetRight Stadium, the Leyton Orient Stadium. We are finally getting our own. Will it be named the Kempi Stadium? God, I hope so. But in terms of this team, I am now a lot happier of where we are. I do feel like we're actually deserving to be where we are. Adrian Prince, 16 goals last season, was brilliant. And Masari was our only player to get the 7 average rating. 13 goal contributions for him, just 21 years of age. He's not got crazy finishing, but he has got his speed, determination, and dribbling. And I think is sort of the kind of signing that I'm looking to make. Someone which can come in, make a difference, but also has that high potential that can sort of carry us over the next few seasons. That's very similar to Adanyeka Abina Lawan as well. This guy is wanted by a bunch of clubs, but I'm simply refusing to let him leave because he is progressing a lot. He is playing a lot of games for the international team. He has got 5-star potential and he's already a good Premier League centre-back. And I feel like I could have maybe the best centre-back in the world on my hands in the next 2 or 3 seasons. His mentals are insane. He's so quick. His defensive stats are brilliant. His passing is good. I really don't want to lose him. He's got 4 years left in his contract, which is great for us. I just don't want him to get so unhappy that he stops playing well. But so far, he's been absolutely brilliant for us. Anton Kovac as his partner, very good as well. I'd love to have him next to him at 24 years of age. And Lucian Mahovo was a great signing this year as well. I've never really done this in rebuilds before, but going for the more experienced players has made a huge difference this year. You know, it cost us, this one was £5 million, but we've got a left back who's homegrown at club, which was a bit of an issue for us this season because we've not really had anyone come through the academy or English players are so expensive. So signing someone like Lucian Mahova was really clever. Same goes for Lewis Miley. Didn't play loads of games this season, just started 9, had 19 off the bench, but homegrown at the club, cost me £5 million. And then CJ Egan-Riley played 31 games, got a 6.93, cost me 600k, homegrown in nation. Absolutely love to see it. Really, really good to bring in a few players like that and sort of change up our transfer structure this season. So that allowed us this season to go and buy some more young stars as well as some experienced players. Number one was a 27-year-old Remy Grunschard coming in for £6 million. A huge improvement in our DM positions, in our ball playing ability. 16 passing, 16 first touch. We've got a real technical baller on our hands in Remy. Next to him, we've also got a new cam in Johnston Rioresti, 27 years of age, costing me £775,000. An absolute bargain, 16 technique, 17 determination, good speed. Big fan of Johnston. We then have Renato Pellegrazzoli, who could potentially be our right back of the future, 23 years of age, good defensive stats, good mental stats, and finally a Polish right winger in Mikael Jędrzej, coming in with 14 pace, 19 determination, 16 crossing, 16 dribbling. I'm hoping he has the same impact as Masari on the left wing this season. And that was it in terms of our signings this year. Again, I didn't want to go crazy. I'm aware that we're building a new stadium. We're doing lots of facilities work. And I don't want to completely bankrupt the club. And I want to see if we can build on last season. And while we didn't do that in terms of our league position, we massively improved our points tally up to 49 points. Improving our defensive work now, pretty much half of what it started at, which is brilliant. And are literally just 3 points off 8th place, which would have been an insane season. So I'm very, very happy with how this year has just gone. And from what you can see in the top right and our fixture schedule, we have started to put a little bit of form together on the end of the season, beating teams like Chelsea, Norwich, beating Ipswich, drawing to Villa, Bournemouth and West Ham, and was 6 games unbeaten at the end of the year. So maybe we're getting somewhere with this team. My only worry is that some of these stars that we're bringing in are already reaching an age where they're getting past their prime. Like Adrian Prince, who are now at 29 years of age, of course, was a free signing, is an absolute demon, was by far our biggest goal scorer this season, level with Saeed, who is 26 years of age and is no longer progressing. So he's reached his maximum level. Lorenzo Massari was brilliant this year, 12 assists, which is fantastic. Yendrasai had a very similar season to what Massari had last year on 8 assists and 3 goals, which is brilliant. But our sort of transfer strategy is working for now because we're able to stay in the Premier League, we're able to potentially build into Europe, but a lot of our older players are now too old. Egan Riley, 26. Ime Ocon, 35. Ted Kurd is now 33. Mahovo, 33. Miley, 33. And a lot of them are homegrown players. So we're going to have to maybe spend some money on some young English talent. Because I'll be completely honest, in terms of young players coming through the academy, there's not a lot. There's 16-year-old Josh Allen, who could be someone, and Ben Haaland, who isn't Haaland whatsoever, let's be honest. Yeah, we're really struggling with bringing through players. We do now have great youth facilities, which is brilliant, and good training facilities, which is brilliant, but we're not really getting the luck of the draw yet with our youth academy. So we jump on into next season and show you guys that we're getting big offers for Rabina Lawan. For example, a £67 million offer here from Real Madrid. Of course, he's unhappy that I'm rejecting them, but he needs to stay at the club. Now, we have spent some money this year, like I said, on bringing in some more homegrown players. So Daryl Mukyuk joins us from Rangers for £2.1 million, a Scottish defence midfielder. Really good defensive stats on him. And we then move over to Junior, a Brazilian cam, left wing or striker with 17 finishing and 15 composure. We find Gruber from TSC, a Serbian right winger, one for the future. And then our big money signing is Alex Jacobson Murphy. 14 determination, really well-rounded mentally, really well-rounded technically, really good physical stats, English defence midfielder, £19.25 million. And I think that just shows the English tax is so crazy. But I've got to do it because if we don't, we're not going to have any homegrown players and we can't register anyone to play in our squads. So we're going to have to start making a few signings like Alex here, which, while it's a shame financially, he does look pretty good. And then our final signing is Polish right winger / striker, who at just 19 years of age has 5 caps for Poland, ridiculous speed, good finishing composure, good determination, 17 technique, 16 vision. Could be a winger, could be a striker, is Irensu Soka, who looks absolutely brilliant. Brought in from Legia, scored 13 goals last season on 7.34, cost me just £3.4 million and looks insane. So going into season 15, we still have Super Ted Kurd in goal. We have our back four. We have our 2 DMs, which I'm very happy with, and a front four full of a few young players and a few older players, with a bunch of players on the bench which can come in and make a big difference. Now, I'm totally aware that we haven't gone through the FA Cup or Carabao Cup as of yet. It's because we've been rubbish. Like last season, FA Cup 3rd rounded by West Ham and 3rd rounded in the Carabao by Arsenal. Going back a year on that, we got 5th rounded in the FA Cup by Birmingham and lost in the quarterfinals of the Carabao to Hull. And we go back from there again. We've pretty much done nothing 4th rounded in the FA Cup. So don't worry, I will tell you when we get anything in them competitions, but for now it's been pretty much nothing. And that carried on this season as well, as we got absolutely battered in the 4th round of the FA Cup and in the Carabao Cup, losing 4-0 and 5-0 respectively. But this season was a really good season in the Premier League. We started off drawing to Palace, beating Norwich, losing 1-0 to Chelsea, then beating Ipswich, beating Bournemouth, beating Newcastle, and beating Wolves. And by the end of October, we were sitting in a European race. And when you consider we were now able to beat teams like Brighton, beat teams like Aston Villa or West Ham or Southampton on a regular basis, it's clear we've made a massive improvement on the last couple of years. And while we do just about fall short of what I think is going to be just a singular point, as Southampton, I think, will get Conference League football and everything updates, we do manage to finish in 9th place on 56 points, which is brilliant for us. That is such a big improvement and showing clear growth throughout the rebuild. I won't lie, it's been an absolute slog to get to this point. I mean, just in this video alone, it's been 5 seasons, which is about 200 games played, which is a lot. I'll be honest, I have calendared some more throughout the Premier League because, I mean, it's been very obvious we're going to do absolutely nothing. But I've played some big games and we've seen some big improvement on players. Obina, a 7.05 average rating. There is no surprise he's wanted by Real Madrid. He is absolutely insane. A 4.5-star player now on just 43k a week. I feel a bit bad, but he's incredible. Pierce up front didn't really do too much this season, but someone that did is our brand new Polish striker, Suzoka. 9 caps for Poland now, but for us, 13 goals in 36 games. A reminder, just £3.4 million. I think we're now getting to the point where we can invest quite heavily and push for European places. Because in the next 3 weeks, we are going to have our brand new stadium. So welcome to the Enfield Town FC Stadium. No, this is the real life one. Enfield, what are you doing with a racetrack around the stadium? Oh, one of them football stadiums which really frustrate me. But never mind. Because we now play at the Enfield Town Stadium, a 28,000 all-seater stadium in perfect condition, brand new for the club. I'm a bit disappointed by the name, I can't lie. The Enfield Town Stadium could have been a bit more, progressive with the name. Yeah, the Kempi XI Stadium would have been fine, but it's okay. We'll stick with the Enfield Town Stadium. But pretty awesome that we have finally got a stadium owned by the club. In terms of finances, what's that done to us? Nothing. No debt whatsoever. We've managed to buy it outright, build it outright, and we are in a very, very good position as a club. In terms of training facilities, they are now good. Youth facilities are now great, which is incredible, and we are really building as a whole entire club rather than just a squad. I mean, this year we have gone huge in terms of signings. In particular, we brought in Josh King for free from Borussia Dortmund. Turned into an absolute demon. Incredible signing. He is 33, but with his 15 natural fitness, I think he could be brilliant for a good few seasons for us. Nikita Wadarakite is an English centre-back brought in for free from Manchester City to be a rotation option, mainly because he's English and homegrown. And Mark Dans for £8.5 million comes in to be our brand new left-back. Not too bad of a signing, actually, in terms of cost. Good speed, good crossing, good defensive work. Really happy with him. Shimi Moshe is my brand new goalkeeper, brought in from Bayer Leverkusen for just £9 million. Yes, I do think if we're ever going to win the league, we need to move on from Ted Kurd. So welcome in Shimi, and welcome in the striker that changes everything. John Ramon Salvadera, a 26-year-old Spanish striker, 16 finishing, 17 composure, electric speed, 15 determination. John Ramon from Lille is going to be an absolute monster. He come through the Barcelona Academy, which is when you know you've got a pretty good player on your hands. Keep an eye out for this weekend coming up, the Barcelona Youth Only rebuild, which is going to be incredible. Already recorded, coming out soon. Absolute banger of video. We get a few players as good as John Ramon Salvadera, and this guy is going to be incredible for us. So buzzing to have him in the team. And this year with this team, I really do think that there is a chance of getting into a European place. With Josh King and Gunchard in DM, with Said in cam, Masari and Yendrese on the wings, Salvadera up top. I mean, Masari had developed into such a good player on that left wing. Defensively, I think we are brilliant. Mark Dans at left back. We have Obina Lowan, of course, at centre back. This year, I do think Saidi is going to get his starting position. He's been out on loan a bunch over the last few seasons, progressing now into a decent Premier League player. A signing we made for about 500k when we brought in Obina Lowan. Pergazoli in at right back looks really, really good. And in goal, Moshi, despite not being the biggest goalkeeper in the world, really good shot stopper, good at rushing out, good on the feet as well, with 16 determination. So I'm hoping he can be good. Ted Kurd is staying at the club, but just at 34 years of age, we needed to kind of improve and move on from Ted. So sorry, Mr. Kurd, you're now the backup goalkeeper. In terms of the rest of the team, a bunch of sort of homegrown players on the bench, a bunch of young players as well, even though sadly none of them are actually from our academy. But we have seen a really big improvement over the last 12 months in Josh Allen. We looked at him literally last season. He was a 3-star silver, now a 1-star gold, and I do actually think he's someone which could potentially come into the side as are one of our only young players, and would be quite fun to bring in purely because he's homegrown at the club, and it would be nice to have one of them in the team. What else is pretty cool is that we are finally not the worst team in the league. We are now the 19th place team. Middlesbrough come in as the worst team. So finally, Enfield Town, after 16 seasons, are no longer considered the worst team in the Premier League. But I think with a few of our brand new signings, we're going to upset some odds this year. In fact, this year was a bigger improvement than I ever could have imagined. We had taken a huge step to not only battling for Europe, but battling for Champions League places. We had now become the team which would batter really promoted sides 6-0, like John Ramon Salvadera grabbing 4 goals in this game, and overall our form was just much better. We had improved drastically as a club, winning a whole host of games, including beating Marine in the 4th round of the FA Cup, which is pretty cool. And we kind of need to talk about the FA Cup because, well, we're doing very well. In fact, we're doing incredibly well. We managed to beat Fulham 3-0 in the quarterfinals in a completely dominant game, sending us into the semis. When we'll be facing up against the team we got our first ever Premier League win against, and that is Tottenham Hotspur. And Jean Ramon Salvadera scored early on to make it 1-0. And then turned provider as he held up the play, found Masari, who drifted past one, ran into the box and scored to make it 2-0. Spurs did grab a goal back in the 78th minute, but that didn't matter as we were reigning victorious at Wembley and sending ourselves back to Wembley to the final of the FA Cup. A pretty insane moment as Enfield Town, one of the only non-league fan-owned clubs, facing up in the oldest competition in England, the FA Cup final against Bournemouth. And just 60 minutes on the clock, Salcedo found a great ball down the line to find Sezaka, who finds Salvadera in the box to give us the early lead. But Bournemouth themselves were no slouches, and the 81st minute scored from a corner thanks to a goal from Lopez. And that sent the game into a penalty shootout, where thankfully for us, Josh King scored our first. Jacobson Murphy also scored from the spot. And despite Bournemouth also scoring a host of penalties, eventually Coates stepped up and had his penalty saved by Moshi, which made Enfield Town champions of the FA Cup. We had managed to turn a club that are fan-owned in the non-league to FA Cup winners. It has taken 16 seasons, but this feels like a historic point in world football. A fan-owned club going against the billionaires and making themselves FA Cup winners. Congratulations to Enfield Town. But the journey is not done yet, because next season we're playing Champions League football as we finished in 3rd place, just behind Liverpool on 2 points away and only 7 points away from lifting the Premier League this season. We were absolutely incredible this year. A huge uptick, and you can probably guess why that is. Number 1, a brand new goalkeeper. Number 2, having João Ramon Salvadera, a striker which can score a lot of goals. 17 in 31 games. Overall, 30 goals, 7 assists in 38 games, and a 7.06 average rating. Having this guy up front is an absolute cheat code. Josh King was also brilliant in our cam role, 9 goals and 8 assists for him. Sezaka, 7 goals and 11 assists, and Masari, 20 goal contributions. Overall, in terms of average rating, Labina Lawan, it's so helpful to have a superstar centre-back, a 7.19 for him. Saeed and Adrian Prince, now rotational options, but do well when they play. And Mark Dans, the £8.5 million English left-back, comes in and drops a 7.11, which is incredible. We have improved massively over the last few seasons and are now champions of the FA Cup as well. Next year, we get to play Champions League football. Now, the Champions League is not something that I'm interested in winning whatsoever, but if you guys do want to see me win the Champions League with Enfield Town, let me know in the comments down below, because there will be like a big compilation video which gets put together of this series. If you guys want to see me win the Champions League as well, and there's enough comments down below, I will play through until we win the Champions League. For the end of that video, make it an extra few seasons long, however long it takes to win the Champions League. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. Now, this year, I have gone for it because I want to win the Premier League this season. So I've spent a lot of money, around 60, 70 million. Taylor Salmon was my first signing, a young Scottish centre-back coming in for 7.5 million. Zizis Iliopoulos is my new right-wing young project. 16 determination, 16 technique, good speed, good crossing, 18 years of age. Andrei Kalamyukov comes in at £5 million, goes back out on loan to Lokomotiv Moscow, is just 22 years of age, and for 5 million is an absolute bargain, but we're not going to be using him this season. Nuno Neves is the cam we're using this season, an English cam brought in from Norwich for £20.5 million, but we're not done there. Diego Martinez brought in, loaned straight back out, 300k, 21 years of age, young Venezuelan centre-back, £20 million, brings us in I think our first official wonder kid, according to the media, Jeffrey Elisenga, 16 marking, 12 heading, 14 tackling, good determination, good physical stats, £20 million. Mohamed Aliou comes in as our backup right back, 300k from Tunisia. Don't worry, I've not forgotten about bringing in some young African talent. I mean, 300k. Incredible signing. Lee Pearson, talk about incredible signing. A young English left back brought in for free, released, I believe, from Manchester City. So a pretty incredible signing. £5.5 million. John Giorgetti comes in as a rotational left winger. And finally, an absolutely incredible signing in Lazar Vukoj, a Serbian striker who is 6'5", 6'6", with good speed, 17 determination, 11 finishings, 13 composure. He gives me Nicolas Zigic vibes. He's just 20 years of age. He could be an absolute monster. And that's a lot of signings coming into a team which have just finished third place in the Premier League. Now, a lot of them signings are rotational options. Not a lot of them are straight up starters. I think Josh King and Jakobsen in DM with Neves and Cam is a brilliant English core. Let's say that straight away. We absolutely love to see that in terms of our homegrown players, with Masari, Sazaka and Salvadera in front. Dan's also English, playing in at left back, with Elisenga and Albina Lawan at centre backs. Pogazoli and Moshe in goal. Ted Kurd still here as our backup goalkeeper. Aliou, Kovac, Salmon, Pearson, Guinchard, Allen. The actual Allen, yes, Allen. He's in the first team. Progressing loads. Actually could be quite a good little player for us. Gonna join the team this season because why on earth not? Ziliopoulos, Oresti, Giorgetti and Vukoj. We're going into the Champions League and we're going to win the Premier League. But first off, let's just talk about the Champions League, because we just finished in 5th place in the league phase, grabbing 6 wins and just 2 losses, and showing that we are actually a very good side that can compete with some of the world's best, which I don't think many people would have expected. So big ups to Enfield Town and the signings we've made, because we are clearly a very good side. Are we a good side at knockout football? No. We lost to Nice 3-2, which is quite embarrassing, I'll be completely honest. Nice is a team which I would massively expect to beat. I mean, they aren't exactly winning the French league at all, are they? I mean, PSG have won it every single season other than last season, but I don't see Nice in here in the top 3, and they've knocked us out of the round of 16. So there will be no Champions League for us this season. But what there could be is a Premier League, because we have been on some absolutely ridiculous form to finish this season. Beating Sunderland 2-1, Manchester City 2-1, Manchester United 2-1, and having these tight victories which mean so much. A 2-1 against West Ham United away from home, a Josh King 64th minute winner, a 1-0 away from home against Brighton, and on the 37th game of the season, a 1-0 victory over Spurs, thanks to a goal from Josh King, which sets us up for the final day of the season where we are facing Southampton at home. And the team we are battling for the title this season is Liverpool, who currently sit first on the final day of the season, with a game against Birmingham coming up, who are currently sitting in 9th place in the league. Liverpool have also been on just as ridiculous of a run and winning pretty much every game pretty comfortably by 3-0 and don't really concede many goals. But we have matched them all season long and sit 37 games into the title race we're level on points on 82, but they beat us by goal difference. So if we are to win the Premier League, it is going to come down to us beating Liverpool on this final day of the season. Well, I say that. We need to beat Southampton and we need Birmingham to perform a miracle. For example, literally just 3 or 4 games ago, we faced up against Liverpool away at Anfield, got the early lead thanks to Sissoko, but conceded in the 80th minute thanks to a goal from Kamada. If that didn't happen, we would be probably Premier League champions by now. But that is not the case. We have got to go and beat Southampton and hope that Birmingham can perform a miracle. So with 48 minutes on the clock, we done our job. Salvadera found Masari to find Sissoko to make it 1-0 and give us just a 1-0 victory against Southampton. We now needed to turn to Birmingham. Now, Birmingham are kind of a club which are doing everything to stop fan ownership in football. They have spent a bunch of money thanks to big new owners. But in this instance, we love Birmingham. While potentially in real life, having big owners in non-league is stopping clubs like Enfield Town FC climbing up the football divisions, in this universe, Birmingham could be my favourite club of all time. And Wallace, he could be my absolute hero. Because despite the fact that Liverpool did go on to score in the 62nd minute with Coca driving down the left-hand side, firing a ball into the box, it drops to Kamada to put the ball into the back of the net, they couldn't do anything else. And the game finished 2-1. And if you guys don't remember, that means that Enfield Town are champions of the Premier League. We have managed to do the unthinkable and lift the Premier League with a fan-owned non-league side after 17 long seasons. We have managed to do it. We have done the unthinkable. And fan ownership wins, and non-league to Premier League is over. This has been one of my favourite rebuilds that I have ever done because I've been so involved. I've played this save for now 2 months, given the fact that we're in January, and it's been an incredible journey, and I've taken Enfield to a Premier League champion, which is absolutely incredible. In terms of the club profile, you can see the insane rise we have been on, which is absolutely incredible. I love the fact that we end as manager, of course, but Ted Kurd ends as captain, a player which has been with us from non-league all the way to being a Premier League champion. And he does, in fact, go down as a club icon, which is brilliant. And Leke Drake goes down as a club icon as well, a centre-back we had from League One and the Championship. In terms of favoured personnel, Obina Lawan also comes in as a favoured personnel. But to finish things off, we do come in as a club legend. Mr. Kempi, a club legend, is what we absolutely love to see. This is how our squad finished out, with Juan Ramon scoring 27 goals, Josh King grabbing 24 goal contributions, and our big Serbian grabbing 11 goals in 15 starts. Masari with 20 goal contributions. And if you guys want to carry on playing this save as Enfield Town, the best team in England, which makes you the best team in the world, it is available on the Patreon down below to purchase for £3. If you want to help support the channel and myself in any way, if you've enjoyed this journey, the Patreon down below, you can go and there's like a thank you tier for £2 a month. If you want to just do that and cancel to say thank you for the save, well, you're more than welcome to do that. And if you want to carry on playing and get a bunch of bits for it as well, the £5 a month tier is where you want to be. This has been a pretty incredible journey, but Enfield Town are hit by Premier League fever and have won the Premier League. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time. So you guys have been asking me to turn Enfield into Champions League winners non-stop in the comments down below. So that is what we are here to do at the end of this compilation video, and eventually turn Enfield into the best team, not only in England, but in the world. And the board, based off winning the Premier League, have given us £93 million to go and spend, which is absolutely insane. Of course, if you have just watched the whole rebuild, then you'll know exactly what this team is currently looking like. So I am very excited to see what we can add into this team to make us Champions League winners, because I'll be real, I kind of built the squad to win the Premier League. We've got some older players in there like Josh King at 35, which has just grabbed 24 goal contributions. And I'm being honest, this Champions League win, I think, is further away than the Premier League win was from the season 16. I think this could take us a good 3 or 4 seasons to try and revitalise this team, bring some younger players in, and go for the Champions League. And especially because the worst thing possible that could have possibly happened has happened. And Juan Ramon Salvadera has left the club and gone to Saudi, and there's nothing I could do about it. It was a release clause of £54 million, and we're going to have to replace our 28-year-old speed demon, Juan Ramon. Now, of course, in the club already, we do have Lazar Vukoj, the young right winger that came in last season and was a very good rotational option for just 2.4 million. But decided to bring in a brand new striker to attempt to go to the next level, and that's Tom Jovanovic. Now, you will notice he's a 2-star player currently, and he's got a fickle personality. I'll be completely real, there was not a single striker on the market which I liked other than Tom, because of his good finishing, composure, determination, and physicals, and being 6'1". Past that though, the striker market is abysmal, so we're going to have to really try and find someone if Tom doesn't work out. We made a free agent signing of a backup goalkeeper in Joel Cisse. Saleh Chalet comes in from PSG, a UAE 119 caps international, insane mentals, unreal speed, and great defensive attributes, which we love to see. Cost me 25.5 million. William comes in as a right back from Equatorial Guinea. Great speed, 19 determination, 13 crossing as a backup option. And £15 million goes on Theodore Groben, a new centre-back. 6'2", good physicals, 17 marking, 16 tackling, 15 heading. You guys know I love them 3 stats for defenders. And my final signing is Sam Targett, a young English defence midfielder brought in from Wolves, where he played 24 games last season in the Premier League. Spent an extra £3 million to bring him in, and I think it's a really good rotational DM, and of course works with like Champions League registration rules, which means our team going into this season is looking like this. I've got no idea if this is going to be good enough. We've got in goal Moshe, Zuniga, Groben, Obinalawan, Dans, Jacobson Murphy, Elis Shisheshi, Vukoj on the right wing, Neves, Masari, and Jovanovic up top. And on the bench, we've of course got Zaka, the Polish striker, Giorgetti, Kamelkov is the Russian cam we brought in for £5 million, went back out on loan last season. He's here this year. Zayan Iliopoulos could play on the right wing, and Vukoj goes up front potentially. Sam Targett, Pearson, Elisenga, Salmon, Peregazzoli, and Cisse as the backups. And of course, we're looking to go back-to-back in the Premier League if possible. In terms of the season preview, we are 7th, which of course is a huge rise on the, I think, 17th we were when we won the league potentially. That was about 4 weeks ago I made that video, in all honesty. So yeah, I mean, we could go back-to-back in the Premier League, but we have lost our star striker, so that could hurt us a lot. And well, sadly, that wasn't the case, as we actually lost on the Premier League title by a singular point to Spurs. We were level with Liverpool on 72, a very low point scoring season, but it was Spurs who win it on 73 points. And we finished down in 3rd place. So we're not going to go back to back. But let's be honest, the most important thing that we're looking at is the Champions League. And in the league phase, we finished all the way down in 15th place, which isn't fantastic. And I was hoping to do slightly better. That, of course, means we go straight into the knockout playoff round. We faced up against Borussia Dortmund and beat them 4-2. And in the round of 16, faced up against Inter Milan and beat them just 1-0 thanks to a goal from Tom Jovanovic, who this season played 61 games because I locked him in up front and scored 25 goals and got 6 assists, which isn't bad, but it's not brilliant. But he did pop up with important goals, just like the second leg against Inter Milan, where he scored in the 21st minute, and of course scored his penalty as well, but it come down to Pinheiro from Inter Milan that missed, and we zoom on into the quarterfinals. We were drawn against Bayer Leverkusen and absolutely battered them 4-1 in the second leg. We did lose 2-0 in the first, but at that Enfield Town Stadium, this team always comes to life. So are we really going to win the Champions League in season 18? Just one season after we won the Premier League? Sadly, we are not. PSG were the team we faced in the semi-finals, and this Parilla guy was just way too good and scored a brace in the first leg. And despite us winning 3-2 in the second leg, a brace from Van Algen, especially the goal in the 65th minute, really killed us off, and we lost 4-3 on aggregate and our first attempt in this sort of extra bit of the rebuild. And PSG went on to, I believe, lose on penalties
to Barcelona, who are now the champions. So PSG nearly went back-to-back, but not quite. And for us, obviously, we come close, but not quite close enough. And I've got to be honest, I think it's the striker. He's not done too bad, but let's replace Tom. Now, is the reason I signed this striker purely based on his name? No, but 80% of it was. Diego Pitbull joins Enfield Town. We've got Pitbull up top. I mean, Brazilian Pitbull with 1 cap. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. And to be honest, his stats are brilliant as well. He's got driven personality. He's known worldwide. Great speed, 16 dribbling, good finishing composure, 19 determination, 18 flair, 18 technique. It's a real technician in the team. And I don't think this is something we've ever had in the team before. Now, it did cost me £50 million, which... yeah, it's a lot of money, but as you can see, throughout his career, he's been absolutely fantastic. And for us, Pitbull, I think, could be the difference maker. We made 4 other signings. Number 1, the backup goalkeeper of Stefan Aziz for 200k. Gabe Arthur joined us as a Scottish international for 31 million from Nottingham Forest. Charlie Walker joins for 13 million from Brentford. And finally, Sladen Jokic joins for 11.5 million as a rotational DM. And considering we just finished 1 point away from winning the Premier League and got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, I feel that better squad depth and having Pitbull up front is going to be enough to win the Champions League. Well, let's start on a good note, and that's going to be the fact that we are lifting another trophy this season as we beat Villa 4-0 in the FA Cup final. This is just the second time we have lifted this trophy. The first time was 2041. This time it's 2045. As like I said, we run away 4-0 winners in an absolutely dominating display, with all 4 goals coming from Lazar Vukovic, who scored 36 goals and got 16 assists this season, and has his breakout season where we only signed him for 2.4 3 seasons ago, and now he could be our saviour. Now, it's heartbreaking to say we are not going to be winning the Premier League this season as we finish second to Chelsea. So it is still just the 1 Premier League trophy that goes to Enfield Town because we have won the Champions League. In the final, we faced up against Real Madrid, and you'll never guess who scored both goals in this game. Is it 6'3" right winger Lazar? Yes, it is. The first goal, a beautiful run down the line, putting it into the back of the net. The second coming from a back post header, showing exactly what Lazar Vukovic is all about. So, of course, we make Enfield Town a Champions League winners over 19 seasons of taking a fan-owned club from the National League South, and in 19 years making them Champions League winners. Now, 19 years is a long time, but for a football club to go up 6 divisions and take over Europe while being fan-owned is simply incredible. If you've enjoyed the Enfield Town journey, this is officially the end. Please make sure you'll smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you guys next time.